Welcome to the Saturday Football Show. I'm Peter Martin. Tammy Manus and Darren Jackson are here with me. Half-time's fast approaching across the Scottish Premiership, the lower leagues in Scotland and in the English Premier League as well. One match finished earlier, Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. We'll discuss that, as well as the scores in the 5 Premiership matches in Scotland. You can give us your view and hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel if you get a chance. You can join the football family. As ever, we've got lots of variety to offer you on our YouTube channel and right across all our social media as well. Celtic 0, Motherwell 0, Dundee 0, Hibs 1, Hearts 0, St Johnstone 0, no goals between Ross County and Kilmarnock, and St Mirren leading Livingston by a goal to 0. So it seems at the moment, one-way traffic, Celtic just laying siege to the Motherwell goal, but they're holding for him.
Yeah, I was listening a little bit on the radio there. It seems as if it's just a matter of time. I think they've had 8 or 9 corners already in the first half. I think 13 attempts at goal. So, listen, Motherwell sitting in. They're trying to keep it 0-0 as long as possible. But you would expect Celtic to make that breakthrough early in the second half and go and win the game comfortably. But as long as it's 0-0, Motherwell will still think they've got a chance of getting something out of the game.
Yeah, and always good to have another ex-Hibs player on.
Two clubs between us.
Well, I was just about to say, yeah, but just out of curiosity, how many goals did you score for Hibs? Oh, there's a question.
50, I think.
50. How many did you score?
23.
50 and 23, it's not bad. How many years were you there?
5.
And you were?
7.
7, okay, brilliant. And some,
It's not a great ratio.
and sometimes he dropped into midfield.
That was the bench most of the time, right enough in my defence.
Yeah, it's not really a great defence, is it? Tavares has scored for Hibs. They're 1-0 up. Nick Montgomery, I think, really wants. There's a run of games now where he really wants to try and get a bit of momentum, and before he hits that transfer window.
Yeah, I saw his interview, and they said he'd been working really hard on the way he's wanting to play in the international break, and it does give a manager like them who's just come in, who doesn't really know the players that well. Obviously he's been there a little while, he understands them, but he gets a better idea of working with them with no game and just on the training pitch and just showing what he really wants out of them. So it's working just now. And sometimes an international break can come at a bad time, and it definitely, well, just up till now, it's bad for Dundee because they've had an absolutely incredible result against St Mirren, and they want to carry on, and then it's the international break and the wee momentum stopped. So, but it's early days, but it's a good one for Hibs.
Yeah, the other great thing about it I can't wait for here, I mean, goals are in short supply at the moment, but the one thing I can't wait for is to see who's the more adventurous in the January transfer window, because this one's going to make a crucial difference, I think, especially because the bottom end's so tight and managers have been getting bulleted as we expected they would do.
Yeah, listen, I think January, it's a tough window to bring players in, but I think the majority of managers want to keep a hold of their better players. You know, it's the ones that are out of the picture that they want to get rid of, which are not always in big demand for players. So it's a big window for a lot of teams down the bottom. You're right, it's going to be very tight down there. You know, Ross County, Dundee, St Johnstone, you know, are all going to be down there, Motherwell possibly. And, you know, 1 or 2 players in could just be the difference between staying up.
Yeah, absolutely. No goals between Hearts and St Johnstone. I'd love to have been a fly in the wall when Craig Levein walked out just to see what the reception was.
Yes, and going back to that point, Peter, we always know that Royal will spend at Ross County in January, and he backs his managers. And people probably say this because I'm pals with Malky. I think it was the wrong decision. Now, Stephen McLean could become a good manager. It was a hard one for him. Callum Davidson should be given the freedom of Perth for what he did. Incredible. Stevie's come in and maybe just not got that experience, and I get why bringing Craig in, because Craig will get the defence right, no concede goals. They don't score a lot, but if you don't concede, you give yourself a chance. I think the Malky one's the wrong one. I don't think they could top Malky as a coach. And they've not brought a better manager in than Malky.
Were you surprised?
Yes, very, very surprised. But listen, I like Roy. It was my first, after my brain operation at Celtic, it was my first game back, and a friendly played up there, gave me a plaque and everything on my return. He's a great man. But I think they've made a mistake.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Mistake's a big call because obviously, you know, I mean, I pick up on what Darren's saying. I was certainly surprised 9 years after he's gone, Derek Adams is back. No harm to Derek Adams, but quite simply, he's got to come back in there and change the mindset and notice that he's actually not going to be offering anybody a long-term contract. He's going to be on that quick fix, come up year rolling contract maybe. You know, and if you want to stay longer, then you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah, I think it's hard to attract players up to Dingwall. I think mostly it's financial. If you're coming up from England, you've got to pay the money to get people up.
See Motherwell's and maybe the Livingstons and that, they'll look and say, well, Ross County's budget's bigger than ours.
But they've got to pay that. They've got to pay that
to get players up there. So it doesn't mean because you're paying bigger money, you're getting better players.
Yeah, you've got to pay housing and stuff like that as well. I think as well, you've got to pay people's digs. So. Listen, the proof will be in the pudding. You know, Ross County, we're struggling a little bit. If Derek Adams comes in and gets a bounce out of them and they start climbing the table, then it'll be the right decision. But if not, if they get relegated this season, then people look back on it and say it was the wrong decision. But it'll all boil down to results at the end of the day.
Okay, Michael Nottingham has scored an own goal for St Mirren to have that 1-goal advantage at half-time. It's been a heck of a lot. In fact, 14 of the last 15 matches have ended in a draw or just maybe a solitary goal between St Mirren and Livingston. I don't see it any differently this time around. It's always tight.
Yeah, I just think St Mirren at home are strong this season. I think Livingston, you know, I spoke about it yesterday. I think they've got 1 win in their last 15 away games in the league. You know, they've picked up 2 points out of 15 this season away from home. They're poor in their travels. St Mirren strong at home. Okay, they get battered up at Dens Park, but I think at home they're generally pretty solid. Only Rangers have beat them this season, so I'm not surprised that St Mirren win the game. I thought they would win the game, but at 1-0 it's still having to play for. I think if St Mirren can get the early goal in the second half, 2-0, I think that would probably kill Livingston off.
Yep, okay, you can give us your thoughts on that on our YouTube channel. Darren and, of course, Tam here with us to give us their thoughts on what's happening across the Scottish Premiership and the Scottish Cup, and there's a whack of Scottish Cup matches for us to enjoy. Well, Albion Rovers 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1. It's the big one. There are a few that obviously will raise an eyebrow as we go through them. Annan 0, Dumbarton 2, Brora Rangers 1, Pollock 0, Broxburn and Bucky is 0-0, Cumnock 0, Broomhill 1, Dundee United, Dunbar United, nearly panicked here, Dunbar United 1, Alloa 2 is the half-time score in that match, Falkirk 3, Formerton United 0, and the reason I'm going to pause at that point before I go through the rest of them, boy, what a great week it's been for Falkirk, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, I live in Falkirk, Peter, and it's great. That Alex had the electrician in the house yesterday, and he's a Falkirk fan, and he's actually given up his season book. And I've taken a soft spot when I do go. It is a club where it deserves success because the people will back the club. You know what I mean? And they're still getting 4,000 or 5,000 every week. And I thought hopefully this year I worked with John McGlynn at Hearts, fantastic coach. And I hope this year that they do, because it does bring so much to the town, and it's so I'm really happy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Darren's showing off there, just letting everybody know that he's got electricity in Falkirk, which is a major blow, because I've lost a tenner on that bet.
I'm just picking up what Darren saying. I played with Falkirk under Big Yogi in the Premier League not that long ago, and they were getting 7,000-8,000 at the games. I think they finished in the top 6 that season. So Dan's right. It's a big club, you know, and they have been stuck in that league for a long time. It looks as if it's going to be a straight shootout with them and Hamilton Accies. But you're wanting Falkirk, you're wanting Dunfermline at least in the Championship. You know, both the teams could hold their own in the Premier League with the support they've got. But he's doing a great job. They scored goals for fun, Falkirk. Another 3 of the day, he's probably scored another 5 or 6 in the second half against them.
Yeah, Morton leading Bowness United by 1-0. No goals between Hamilton Accies and Kelty, Inverness and Cowdenbeath. Montrose and Edinburgh City, the same, 0-0. Partick Thistle are 2-0 up in Queen's Park. Peterhead 0, Ayr United 0. Queen of the South 1, Dundee United 1. And it's Stirling Albion 0, Cove Rangers 1, Stranraer 0, Airdrieonians 1. And Spartans 1, Arbroath 0, and Trinent 0, Forfar Athletic at 0. So there you are, and that just brings us to the end of the Scottish Cup half-time scores. As far as the English Premier League is concerned, Manchester City won, Liverpool 1. City had the ball in the back of the net through Haaland, and then they had a goal disallowed, and then there was a late equaliser from Trent Alexander.
Yeah, again, they dominated the first half. Liverpool were definitely better in the second half, but you know, we spoke last week, Peter, how much I love, or 2 weeks ago, how much I love watching Man City. I love Pep. I think that these teams are fantastic to watch, but sometimes they need to go and get that second goal, because when you're playing someone like Liverpool, you know they're going to get a chance. When you've got Mo Salah and people like that, and Diaz in the team, you know they're going to get a chance. And someone like Trent, I mean, the strike he had was just, that's what he does.
First touch,
strike.
lovely.
Yeah.
Second touch, so early, bang. Burnley 0, West Ham 0, Luton 0, Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle 1, Chelsea 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 2, and Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 2, and interestingly enough, Brentford take on Arsenal at 5:30 tonight in the English Premier League. So that's how it looks on a Saturday afternoon. There's lots to talk about, lots to discuss. Of course, just a little footnote to that half-time at Celtic Park, where it's Celtic 0, Motherwell 0. Earlier on, when everybody was getting ready to get into the ground, of course, the Green Brigade had made it known they were going to be there, quite a lot of them in fact, and they made it known that they were going to be outside Celtic Park. Quite a lot of fans were out there having a wee look to see what they were going to offer, and they made a lot of noise. Didn't really do anything else after that. I think just trying to show their full support for each other, and of course their disagreement with the Celtic board and their decision to ban them. I noticed that when Rod Stewart was going in, they were giving him absolute pelters at so when he's giving them absolute pelters, he decided just to give them the finger back, and that's pure rock and roll. He doesn't care a jot, does he?
Yeah, I can remember them. There was a banner about Rod Stewart, wasn't there, from the Green Brigade not that long ago, a couple of years ago. I think it was about his political alignment. So I think there's always been a bit of history between the two. But as I said, they've been giving him grief, and Rod's reacted and gave them it back. So I've not got any issues with any of that, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a man who made a career out of noising everybody up, you've got no issue with that, surely?
I know. I've been on stage with him in Madison Square Garden.
So that doesn't get any better than that, does it? That is sensational. How did that happen? I can't remember that.
Yeah, that was before Euro 96. We went to America.
Of course.
And Rod was playing Madison Square Gardens, and Rachel Hunter, which I've got a picture on my phone with her and I can show you later. And she wanted us up on the stage, and so we all got up on the stage and we were all dancing about and singing with Rod on stage.
Yeah. Usually as you get a new iPhone or a Samsung...
I'm trying to think of that, if that's on his phone.
I was just about to say...
A Nokia 6210.
How long do you keep the photographs?
With her, forever.
That's magnificent, Darren. Well done. Okay, so that's. I think that's the first significant name drop of the day. I don't think you're going to beat that by you. That's good.
No chance.
I mean, that's absolutely magnificent. Madison Square Garden. I think the closest I've been to the stage, Darren, is 9 from the front for a Billy Joel concert, and even then it cost a whack of money to get 9 from the front, but that's good. Rachel Hunter and Rod was there too, yeah?
Rod was singing, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. And were you the backing team giving it?
We were up, yeah. We had a couple of drinks and all that, so that was
Scotland players and a couple of scoops. It seemed to go hand in hand then, didn't it? When Ruffy was singing the
I Have a Dream.
We Have a Dream, they were all sparkled.
That's right.
So there you are. Anyway, Rod... just giving them what for, the Green Brigade trying to make their point on it, and I don't think there's any impasse. I think the board are going to stick to the ban.
Well, they've got to stay strong if that's their beliefs. We know that they do generate the atmosphere, because they go through the whole game, they sing through the whole game, and everybody else kind of joins in. So when they're not there, the atmosphere, so it will be affecting the team as well.
Yeah.
But the board have got as you say, they've got to stick to their beliefs and do what's right for them and but hopefully can get something sorted.
Yeah, and of course the board emphasised that it is a collection of misdemeanours and breaches of rules, and of course conduct of a collection of the Green Brigade, which is tarnishing the club's name and of course intimidating other people, be it in the ground or at other grounds as well. So it's a collection of issues which have brought them to this point. The Green Brigade were inside the ground. Celtic have been laying siege to the Motherwell goal but haven't quite been able to make that breakthrough. We'll keep you right up to date indeed if they do make the breakthrough in that match. There is a match tomorrow. We'll hear from Philippe Clement, the Rangers manager, ahead of that match, Aberdeen against Rangers. Although I have to say, a wee bit of nostalgia. Last night I was up there with 900 Aberdeen fans, Tam, who were celebrating the 40th anniversary of Aberdeen laying claim to being the only club to have won 2 European trophies in the one season. I'll get your thoughts on that in a minute, because let's get a quick flavour of what's been happening in the games. A quick half-time summary on St Mirren Livingston with Patrick Mullen.
I'm here at the Smythe Stadium, and it's St Mirren 1, Livingston 0. It is the hosts that have the lead at the break, and that one came in the 36th minute. It was Greg Kilty down the left-hand side. He was dribbling down. He obviously looked to try and roll the ball into the far bottom right-hand corner. It was saved by Shamal George, but he just spilt it to the feet of Mitchell Nottingham, who just couldn't do anything about it, and it went into the back of the net. Livingston will feel hard done, but I think it's fair to say that neither side here deserved to have the lead at the break, and they had a fair few chances of their own. It was Nottingham getting his head on the end of a corner, but that one hit off the bar and away. Are we hoping for a huge improvement in the second half? David Martindale, but at the break here, it's St Mirren 1, Livingston 0.
There you are, your man. You happy with your drink? Yeah. It's always a scene when somebody is reporting. Tam gets a chance just to make sure that the tonic is in the gin. Anyway, so St Mirren there against Livingston with that edge. Stephen Robinson, I think for such a great start, they had a wee bad patch, Tam, and I think he wants to get them back on track.
Yeah, listen, I think they started the season so strongly. I think up until the Rangers game, where they lost, they were flying. They picked up a few disappointing results. You know, they came back against Hibs and got a draw, but losing that game up at Dens Park 4-0 was a hammer blow. You know, nobody's seen that one coming, so they'll be looking to get 3 points again. These are the games. Livingston at home, no disrespect to Livingston, they're poor away from home, they're struggling in the league. You've got to be looking to take 3 points at home if you want to keep pushing for that top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I like what he's doing there. I like him as a manager. He's a good lad.
Brilliant guy. Fantastic coach. I think earlier on, a few years ago, Peter, when the Hibs and Hearts job were up, I couldn't believe he never got an interview when he was at Motherwell. Yeah. When he got to 2 cup finals. And I couldn't believe he didn't get an interview, and he deserves it. But he's obviously looks happy at St Mirren. They're doing great. Yes, they had a blip last week, and as we spoke about Nick Montgomery getting to work with the team, he'll have looked at the video of the game, and there's things that they can obviously work on. And but as Tam says, a home game against Livingston, they must be looking to win that.
Yeah, 1 win in 7, so it's been the poorest run they've had this season, because prior to that it was only 1 defeat in something like, I think 1 defeat in 11 matches, so it was a fantastic run they were on. And I've watched them. I went to see them against Hibs, and I thought, you know, they really played some better football in the second half. I like the way they go about their business. They've got some talented players, and of course Jonah Ayunga coming back.
Yeah, he's back in the team today. He started today, so no, he's an important player for them. He was good before he got injured. They had a tough run of games. I think they played Celtic, Rangers. You know, within that little run, Celtic away, Rangers at home. They lost those. So no, but listen, I think he's done a great job at St Mirren. If St Mirren can finish in the top 6, they just missed out in it last season. They just missed out in Europe last season. But if they can get into Europe, you know, it's been a long time since St Mirren won Europe, and that will be the target for them probably now. Try and get into that 3rd or 4th place, because there's not really anybody outside of them putting a run together, a Hibs or a Hearts or an Aberdeen. So they've got a chance to put points on the board before maybe some of them settle in and start getting a run together.
Yeah, second half we might hear from Adam Binney at some point as well to give us his thoughts on the other match there between Hearts and St Johnstone. We'll keep you right up to date on what Adam has to say about that game, and we'll also get reaction from the managers as well as players at the end of the game. 5 matches in the Scottish Premiership, only 2 goals to talk about. Second half underway. Tam and Darren are here and we'll reflect on the overall 90 minutes, and then you can give us your view if you are of the opinion that it's a good result for your team, or indeed you want to moan about something that's happened during the week. We're more than happy to get your thoughts on it, but still waiting for goals elsewhere. Celtic 0, Motherwell 0, Dundee 0, Hibs 1, Tavares with a goal. Hearts and St Johnstone and Ross County and Kilmarnock 0-0, and then St Mirren 1, Livingston 0 is the scoreline from the Scottish Premiership. And I did mention we'll talk about Aberdeen against Rangers a little later. Yeah, it was great. 40-year anniversary of Aberdeen winning the Super Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup, which is absolutely incredible. And to see all the old players there back together, I mean, it's hard to believe some of them are 65 years of age now.
Yeah, listen, that'll never be repeated in Scottish football in terms of an Aberdeen or anyone. A Celtic Rangers, winning a cup, a European Cup and a Super Cup. 1983, I'd have been 2, so it's long before my time. But I know some of the guys were up. Alec McLeish obviously was my gaffer. Big Brian Gunn played with Hibs. So there was a lot of guys up there that I know their faces. But in terms of Aberdeen beating Real Madrid and Bayern Munich in the one season, I struggle to believe it now. You were obviously older than me and seen it happening, but I struggle to believe that Aberdeen beat Bayern Munich and Real Madrid in the same season and won a European trophy. But that team will be lauded forever up there, rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. They were absolutely magnificent. Lots of quality players. In fact,
was Eric still looking about 30?
Eric looked. I think he looked 31, to be honest with you, Darren. Eric Black was such a wonderful player. But the great thing about it, and this is where I think, without talking about all our yesterdays too much, quite a lot of Aberdeen fans will look at the squad they have now. And I think I say this without any fear of contradiction or upsetting anybody, that of all the team that I was watching last night and the current Aberdeen team, not one of the Aberdeen team today would get on the bench for the Aberdeen side of 1983. Not one.
And they're all 65.
Yeah, and they're all 65. I know.
Yeah.
That was my joke.
I thought Peter was going to crack that.
It's incredible. No, I left it open to you.
You could go through the teams that have passed since then.
Yeah.
And there's not many would get in that team.
No, the last
wonderful team.
Last 20 years, I don't think there's any of them. In fact, it's such a. It's not a. Is it a sad indictment of the lack of talent coming through? I think possibly it is, but they were just
money's changed it.
Well, the structure of the league has changed it. The recruitment, the infrastructure of developing our talent, and of course, society itself has changed in the way people view football now, and the amenities and what you do with your life. There are so many other distractions. So there are several layers and reasons why, but nevertheless, it was still great to see them. They were absolutely fantastic, and the Dons fans absolutely wallowed in a little bit of nostalgia, and it was nice to see. And of course then suddenly, we will talk about it later, Aberdeen against Rangers, always a tasty tie at the best of times, but does it have that extra element because there's some bad blood between the two of them? Do Aberdeen just seem to be able to raise their game even more against Rangers? I know one pundit has suggested that. I'm not quite sure. He put it across in the best way. I'm not quite sure I agree with him either, Tam, as far as Aberdeen. You play games, you try your best in every game, you're professional footballers, and to suggest that you're maybe not trying as hard or you're trying even harder against one team, I think is, I think it does the professional football players at Aberdeen a disservice.
Yeah, listen, I don't know, Dan will probably, I know you will agree with this, you don't try harder against anybody else, any other team. It's just a game of football. It's just because of the rivalry between the two teams, in terms of going past the Alex Ferguson's days to the Neil Simpson tackle on Ian Durrant, you know, all these things 9 in a row. The Rangers won it again at Ibrox with the Hateley headers. There was just a long list of things that have happened over the years that just add spice to the fixture. But I just think Celtic over the last 10, 15 years have been miles better than Rangers. So I think it's harder to get a result against Celtic than it is to get a result against Rangers. I don't think it's anything other than that, Dan.
I don't think they try any harder. It's just the game. It's just the spice in the game, and the kind of hatred that's really been brought in, that it makes it maybe look as though that they're trying a bit harder. But so, as you say, Tam, they'll try as hard against Celtic as against Rangers, against Hearts, against Hibs. But I just think it's the spice of the game and the as I say, the bad blood that's there.
Yeah, what do you make of the situation at the moment with Celtic? They're battering at the door of Motherwell, can't get the breakthrough. I mean, we're talking about it's much tougher to lay a glove on Celtic, but under Brendan Rodgers, it's becoming a little bit of a slog to try and continually break down teams at the moment. And at the AGM in midweek, you know, the rallying cry to the assembled members of not only the board but all the shareholders is quite simply, you know, they're going to spend big in the January window. Well, I would have thought the better option would be to spend big in the summer window for the manager to try and get them a half decent result in Europe, but that hasn't transpired.
Yeah, well, Tam said earlier about the January window is always very hard because you're not going to really get the players that you want. So they do. I think they do need another striker, but it's hard getting one that's going to come and he's going to be on the bench really because Kyogo's going to play.
Yeah,
and when he's not scoring, they are a wee bit vulnerable. And like Abada has gone out, and he always came up with a goal. And obviously Jota's left.
Yeah,
they always came up with a goal, and the wide players are probably not scoring as much as Matt O'Reilly's the one that's probably taken it on. Where I always thought, and for him to improve his game, he needed more goals and more assists. So that's happening for him, but they're not really scoring a lot of goals from elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I was speaking to Peter Grant yesterday, and he said, "Yeah, I'm not a fan of O, but he likes his movement and thinks that maybe, depending on the way Celtic play, if they could just get more service to him, he might come good." I'm not so sure. I think they need somebody who can score goals. I thought Giakoumakis was more of a threat, and I think they need somebody who offers something different to Kyogo.
Yeah, I think Giakoumakis was a big blow. I think he's went to America. Listen, I know it's not a great league, the MLS, but he's went over there and lit it up. He scored a lot of goals over there, scoring goals for the Greek national team. I think he wanted to play every week, but he wasn't happy to sit on the bench. He wasn't happy to be a squad player. And Darren's right. You need to get someone in who's going to be happy to play second fiddle. He's going to get games infrequently. You know, Kyogo, when he's fit, he's going to play the big games.
You're not going to get a top boy to come and sit.
You're not going to get a top boy in January. I quite like the boy.
Even at the end of the season, Tam, you're not going to get a top boy to come and sit on the bench.
No,
for Celtic.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
So to say he's spent £10 million, you're not going to buy 10. Spend.
They don't play two up front. They only play two of them.
Well, the big dilemma here is quite simply that I'm looking at what he's got at the moment, and they're not good enough in Europe. And that's why Brendan Rodgers brought back. Domestically, if they win the league, they're expected to win the league. He inherited their title-winning side. The one thing that I think is very pertinent to reading between the lines of a manager and his comments is quite simply, it's too big a squad. There's about 32 of them, needs to be trimmed down. I think he's going to try and go for quality rather than quantity.
Well, I think that's what you should be at Celtic. Doesn't matter how you can have 32, that just becomes a problem. By the way, you look at Chelsea, how many players they've got, it just becomes a problem because what is your best team? Yeah. And you're trying to get that formula of getting on the pitch and working with them every day, and you've got too many players. So I think he does have to trim the squad, and he does. I think he does need a bit more quality. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Whether you're going to get the quality of the Champions League and start winning loads of games, that's going to be very hard. But you've got to start somewhere, and if he brings one or two quality ones in, that will help the players around them and bring more out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's who he's going to buy and whether they are going to be able to get in there at the start, make a significant contribution in New Year. And of course, coming up before that is, of course, a small matter of Celtic against Rangers, the second Old Firm derby of the season as well, looming ever closer, 30th of December, and we've got some special stuff ahead of that. And talking of which, of course, everybody's looking at the players that potentially could be going out the door. You know, when you look at some of the players who are on Celtic's books, it's absolutely incredible. I mean,
yep, the squad's massive, Peter. It's James McCarthy's still there, hanging on his money his last year. In fact, he's got 2 years left. He's actually got 2 years left. He signed a 4-year deal. He's got this season and next season. So I don't know if he's going to sit there and do a Bobo Baldi, just sit and take his money, which he might do. He's not going to get that money elsewhere, or he's going to go and maybe play somewhere. There's a lot of players in there. There's a lot of centre halves injured at the minute. There's players in there that are surplus to requirements, and Celtic don't tend to pay them off. They tend to just leave them, either sell them or just see their contract out. But that can become a problem, as Dan said, when you've got a squad of 30, 35 and you're thinking, how do we plan training? Do you start bombing the boys into the stiffs and training with the kids and all that? So he's got to trim the squad down without a doubt.
Lewis Miller, goal for Hibs, 2-0 up in Dundee now. That's a really good scoreline for them away at Dens Park.
Yeah, it is, and hopefully they can hang on, because they have been vulnerable with 2-0 leads over the last couple of months. So I quietly fancied Hibs today. I think there's been signs under Nick Montgomery that they're starting to play. They've not been able to put teams away. They should have won the game against Kilmarnock more comfortably, 1-0. They should have beat St Mirren. It was 2 each. They should have beat Aberdeen in the semi-final, the better teams. So performances have actually been okay. It's just results that have not been coming with along with that. So, listen, they should go and win the game now up at Dundee, and that would be a great result, because Dundee are playing pretty well this season, so that'd be a good result for Hibs. Yeah,
absolutely. 2-0 up, good going for them, and we always talk about managers and who they're going to sign. It'll be interesting to see the calibre of player that Nick Montgomery signs. Although, to be fair to him, Darren, he has mentioned that, Tam has been constantly on our case saying there are some good players in the youth academy at Hibs. Maybe Nick sticks to his word. He's going to give people like Rory Whittaker and others their chance.
Yeah, well, listen, that depends on results, Peter. Whether you can, a couple of them have come in, and they're 16, 17, so that they must be good players to get a chance. The manager's just not going to put them in just for the sake of it, and I'll give the youth, so I'll just pick you. They must be shown something in the development squad to get a chance. But you know what it's like, Hibs demand results, and sometimes you want to bring in players that he likes, that he knows that can improve the team, and then can those players maybe help the young boys come in. So the young boys might stay in, but he still needs signings.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, they're in command there at the moment. And at Tynecastle, it's Hearts 0, St Johnstone 0. So clearly, they did get the little spark, St Johnstone, from Craig Levein. And now he is one manager that will have St Johnstone well organised.
Yeah, I think they'll try and keep it 0-0 as long as possible. I would still expect Hearts to win the game. I just think they've got too much quality in the forward areas, and the first goal is going to be crucial in that game. I think if St Johnstone get it, Craig will maybe start to park the bus a wee bit and bring defenders on and try and win 1-0. But if Hearts get the first goal, then they've got to come out. So I would still expect Hearts to win that game, albeit maybe narrowly. But St Johnstone are going there and trying to stay in the game, which they're doing so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Derek Adams and the new regime up at Dingwall, still at this moment Ross County 0. Kilmarnock 0, and I think we're getting a situation here where Hearts have taken the lead in that match at Tynecastle, scoring a goal 1-0 against St Johnstone. So there you have it. Liam Boyce has scored the goal, and Stevie Naismith. And every week on this programme, and it's absolutely nuts, but every week on this programme, we're always talking about managers. They're under pressure. They could be getting sacked. Sometimes we've been in a situation where it's 7 or 8 games, but Stevie Naismith, is going to try and stick to his guns. If he can get a wee result here today as well, that's a nice wee bit of a run for him. Takes the heat off him.
Yeah, of course it is. You look at, I said in the last programme, Peter, that injuries to key players Stephen had. Halkett's a big player for them, because I think they're better playing three at the back and Halkett playing in the middle. They look a lot stronger. And Boyce hasn't been in the team because I think they were looking at him and Lawrence maybe too similar and all that. But I think they can play together.
Home.
Yeah, but I still think they can play together, because I think Boyce can come off the. I think he prefers coming off the game, and I think Lawrence has become a better player, taking the ball and holding the ball up.
Do you remember the prophet of doom, which is Tam McManus? You know, just when some Hibs fans will have been sitting there saying, yeah, you know, it's looking good, 2-0, things are going well. Lewis Miller scored a goal. He'll be as high as a kite. He'll be as high as a kite in the dressing room because he's been sent off. 2 yellows for Lewis Miller, and suddenly that game could take a right turn, honestly. See, if I was a Hibs fan listening to you, I really would
honestly, 2-0, they can't throw another 2-0 lead away. Just sitting.
Yeah.
I think he's got that in him. I think that's the way he plays.
Yeah, he is. He's got a wee bit of different about him.
Very aggressive, and he likes to get tight people, and if he's maybe just been late a couple of times and you're under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. How many red cards did you get?
Well, it's a kind of quiz question.
Yeah.
I was sent off 3 times in my career,
right,
and I only had to leave the field to play once.
Well, that's a belter of a question, isn't it? Sent off 3 times and he only had to leave the field once. Is that because you were already lying off the field in the fight? No, nothing like that. Right, okay, fire away.
I was sent off after the game twice.
Brilliant, yeah.
From mouth into the referee.
Scottish Cup final, Dundee United up Motherwell.
Of course, yeah.
Both of us were sent off.
I saw you that. You deserved a red day.
Hearts Hibs, for Hibs at Tynecastle. And then I was sent off for Celtic at Pittodrie, Willie Young. That was the only time I had to leave the field to play.
Yeah, and what was the Hibs one?
It was actually an argument with Tosh and Brian Hamilton.
Yeah.
And I was actually captain. And this is the honest truth, I went in and grabbed Hammy, and Tosh and I didn't like each other, then we've ended up best pals. But I've grabbed Hammy and thrown him down the tunnel, and the referee came in and pulled me, Alec and Muller and I out, and I got a second booking. So actually, and I'm not being funny.
Who was the referee?
Nothing. I can't remember.
Yeah. So,
yeah, sent off 3 times, but only had to leave the field to play once.
It's times like that you usually remember the referee who sends you off. How many reds have you had?
Once against Rangers, Mike McCurry sent me off. We get beat 3-0. Al McLeish's first game back as Rangers manager at Easter Road. We had 3 men sent off and Rangers got 2 penalties. It was our battle. Once in a Dundee derby, we were getting beat 2-1. And Barry Robson was wasting time in the corner in front of the Dundee United fans at the last minute of the game, and I chased back to try and get the ball back to win it. And you know what Barry's like with his elbows, he's shielding the ball and having to try and get the ball off him. He's just caught me right in the snib, and I've just red missed and walloped him, just booted him. Dougie McDonald sent me straight off, and Jim Duffy fined me a week's wages and nearly battered me after the game. So twice, I think.
I meant to say to you, Celtic almost scored. Couldn't quite divert the header in and goal, but penalty to Celtic. So there's a chance here for Celtic to take the lead in the match. I think there's a foul on O. And Liam Kelly saved the penalty. So there you have it, Liam Kelly. And the reason why I mentioned
Liam... game, was it? He missed one recently.
Well, the reason why I mentioned Liam Kelly on this is because, quite simply, here's a boy, like so many others now, are looking and saying to themselves, I've just got to keep playing at the top of my game to be on that plane to Germany in the Scotland squad.
Of course, it's opened up, Peter, of course. And the goalkeeping situation is that the Xander and Liam Kelly will be looking at it. And again, I said earlier that I believe we need Craig Gordon back. I think Hearts need Craig Gordon back, but I think Scotland need Craig Gordon back along with Angus Gunn. But lost a couple of goals in the last games, but didn't do anything wrong. Hard games to go into, the 3 games we played. But I'm a believer that we need Craig Gordon.
Yeah, I think I don't think you get too many arguments from us. We've all been talking about it, debating it non-stop. I think Liam Boyce's goal, it looks as if the shot is hit off Lawrence Shanklin, and Lawrence. It looks as if
you're hot.
Well, I was just about to say 6 goals in 6 games, and that's exactly what it's like, isn't it?
And I'd be running away claiming it.
Yeah.
I'd be running away claiming it, even if it came off my backside.
Missed the penalty.
No, I'm just going to find out who missed the penalty, and I think it's Lewis Palmer has missed the penalty. So what a real blow that is, and after a long delay, I can tell you that Dundee almost get a goal from a free kick, but it's straight at David Marshall through a cluster of bodies, and that chance goes a begging. But now Hibs down to 10 men. Lewis Miller with a second yellow card sent off, has scored for Hibs, but it's not one to remember for him, because suddenly he's watching the game wondering if the manager's going to come in at the end of it and absolutely slaughter him. What's the worst absolute...
I worked under wee John.
Yeah, okay. Try not to list them all.
That's if you scored and played well. Never mind getting sent off or having a bad game.
It's a very good point, by the way. It's the only...
By the way, it was actually worse, and I'm not being funny, it was worse when you won.
Yeah?
Yeah, honestly, it was worse when you won.
Wow.
Because just his demands were so high, and his standards were so high, that he was actually worse. Listen, when we lost, he could go off and win, but he would go off and win when we won as well.
Yeah, you are part of a collection of players that could easily write a book on Jim, his tactics, the way he went about his business. Great coach, of course, as Darren I'm sure will testify. The whole Dundee United story is incredible. There was a long period where they couldn't win in the Scottish Cup, and I mention that because quite simply we've got 18 Scottish Cup ties today that we will keep you right up to date with as well. But the story so far is Celtic have missed a penalty. It's 0-0 against Motherwell. Dundee 0, Hibs 2. Hibs are down to 10 men. Hearts are leading by a goal to 0. Boyce thought he had it. Shanklin's claiming it. Looks as if it come off him. And as any good striker will tell you, who cares if it comes off your ear, as long as you get the credit at the end of it and it goes towards your tally. The highest amount of goals you scored in a season?
12.
Pretty poor. Do you know what? Sometimes I'm in your company and you're an infectious person, and then sometimes you just put me on a complete downer, and I wonder why I wasn't a professional footballer and you were. Darren. 19. Who was that with?
That was with Dundee United and with Meadowbank.
19 with Meadowbank as well. Wow, absolutely incredible. 19's a good haul of goals. Did you prefer being the out and out? You always had number 10 most of the time.
I wasn't a real goal scorer.
I didn't think.
I wasn't either.
I loved. We spoke about being a 10, coming off the game or playing in midfield. I loved being involved in the game and all that. And like now, it's all about assists and all that. And I would think I've probably had a few assists in my career as well, because that's the way I like to play, especially when I played with Keith. Keith liked to be the 9. Keith was the 9, and so that's what I like that.
Yeah,
I think there's different types of strikers. I was the same as Darren. I couldn't just. People say just stay in the box. That means you wouldn't touch the ball maybe for 10 minutes. I had to come off the game and get a touch and maybe play the ball wide or something. I couldn't just sit in the box and wait for a ball to come across, like a Chris Boyd or somebody like that, who was just a penalty box striker. I couldn't do that. I would need to run the channels or get involved in the game, which obviously takes you out the box for goals. But there is certain types of strikers, and if you're a penalty box striker, you tend to score more goals, but you don't get involved as much in the game.
Yeah, I think great credit has to go to Motherwell for the way they are defending, but Celtic, despite the fact that they've had crosses into the box, O's had chances, there's a missed penalty, it's quite simply a 0-0 scoreline, and with every slip up along the way, everybody, looking at the games, especially at the top now, Philippe Clement, apart from that, game against Sparta Prague, it's all been mega positive, hasn't it? I mean,
very, very positive, Peter. And listen, if this ends 0-0, that gives Rangers a lift for tomorrow.
Yeah,
it gives them a huge lift. But the game's not finished yet. Listen, today you were thinking to yourself, Stuart, Kettlewell's been a little bit under pressure. They've not been winning games, and you think to yourself, this could be a bad one for them today. But fair play to the players. They're obviously defending well, but you know, nowadays it's going to go 98, 99 minutes. So you can say over nearly 90 minutes, but there's still maybe 9 or 10 minutes injury time. So it's still going to be a long night for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's sometimes it's just a goal that can make the difference in the game. But every Rangers fan will be thinking to themselves, you know, Rangers could go up to Pittodrie and get their 6th consecutive win, Tam, and especially if they can cut that gap, slowly but surely bite into it. This could be a really interesting.
No, it could be. Rangers are playing no lose football at the minute. They can't afford to drop points. Celtic, I would still expect to win the game. But if they don't, then as Darren said, it gives them a massive lift, Rangers tomorrow. But I think there's still plenty of mileage in the league. I think that Rangers look a lot better under the new manager. And Celtic, I've done this a couple of times, I've just struggled at home to break teams down.
Yeah, I can't tell you it's Man City 1, Liverpool 1 was the... No point in me talking when Tam's dying. It was Man City 1, Liverpool 1. Burnley 1-up in West Ham. Luton 1-0 against Crystal Palace. Newcastle 3, Chelsea 1. Which is just outrageous. And again, money can't buy you success, as Chelsea are proving. Nottingham Forest 1, Brighton 3, and Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 3, Brentford Arsenal is the 5:30 kickoff. And the reason I'm looking at that whole situation there, I'm saying to myself, I mean, you could get to a situation where Sheffield United will certainly give a real shot in the arm to Everton. If you know they want to see Luton lose, they want to see Sheffield United lose, they want to see what's the third one, Tam, at the bottom end
Burnley.
of that, Burnley. They want to see Burnley. Yeah. So those 3 clubs will give Everton the chance to believe they can get away.
Of course, Peter. See, on game day, you can only look after yourself. You can't affect other results, but you will keep an eye on them. And Burnley winning today is a huge blow to winning just now is a huge blow to the ones below them. But Everton need the other teams to be losing today to give again. And if the results do go their way, that a few of them lose, that gives them a boost for Man United tomorrow. Because listen, Man United are easily beaten now. So and everyone will be galvanised tomorrow after what's happened with Everton this week, the players, the staff, the fans. So it's going to be some atmosphere tomorrow at Goodison.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting to see how it all pans out. It's a Saturday afternoon, and as we head into the early evening, there could be a wee shock on the cards at Celtic Park. Is there a late twist in the tail? Celtic 0, Motherwell 0. Celtic have missed a penalty, and there's been a heck of a lot of supply into the box, but no takers on this one at the moment. Still 0-0 between Celtic and Motherwell. Dundee 0, Hibs 2. Hibs down to 10 men, but when you look at the overall league table, Tam, this is a real chance, and that's the nature of this league because it's so tight. A real chance for Hibs just to be heading in that right direction regularly, now going in all the way through to what eventually will be a break. We have a winter break this time.
Yeah, they got up into 5th place and they keep tabs with St Mirren and Hearts above them. And it's important for Hibs to put a run of games together, a run of wins. They had a tough little, fixture list there in terms of Celtic, Rangers, Hearts. They played all them in quick succession. But I was looking at it yesterday. They've now got a run of games where they can go and pick up 3 or 4 wins and get themselves right up the table. So it's important that they hold on to that 2-0 win today and stay within touch of, as I said, St Mirren, who look as if they're going to win. Hearts are going to win. And they just stay in touch for 3rd place.
It's tougher now to actually... I'm really finding it difficult to work out who's going down this season.
Livingston go bottom today if they lose.
Yeah. So
first time in a long time.
But it's a run of consecutive...
Is Livingston not under no bottom just now?
Yeah, that's as it stands. They will be their bottom. And I mean, it's a consecutive run of defeats, though, that are really making me believe that they're gone. It's just who's going to be in the playoff place.
Listen, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for Livingston. Obviously, I'm hoping they're going to try and get results for Chipper, and it was another ex-club of mine, Livingston. So, and I lived there for 21 years. So, but I think, listen, I think there's going to be the Livingstons. There's going to be St Johnstone. There's going to be the Ross Counties. Motherwell are doing just now, but I think Motherwell. So, for that playoff, I think it'll be very, very tight. Yeah, 5 consecutive defeats for Livingston, and even David Martindale knows if they are going to escape it, it's going to be by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, listen, it's difficult for him to pull a rabbit out of that every year. You know, he's signing players on 1-year deals, and all the best players leave.
He's overachieved for
for
how many years?
Maybe it was a time for him in the summer to get away, but it's difficult for him in his past to get away. You know, he lost Fitzwater and he lost Devlin, and they were 2 big players for him. So he's not replaced them. They're struggling to score goals. He's been trying to sell the big boy Nubly for about 6 months, but he's not really been scoring goals either. It's maybe only Bruce Anderson who's nicking goals here or there. They've not got a lot of goals in them either. So this is the season where they're going to be in big trouble, and if they can finish second bottom, I think David Martindale would take second bottom right now, to be honest.
Absolutely he would, because you'd fancy them in a playoff because of the nature of the way that pitch. And by the way, my heart sank in midweek when they said they've got no plans to rip it up, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, you might have no plans to rip it up, change the rules and force them.
I think so. I've never been a fan, Peter. Listen, I have been lower leagues because I understand finances and all that, training on it, renting it out. But it's the Premiership. It's a big league.
Yeah.
And I think it was the Rangers managers. Did they not come out and say no big league has artificial surface? So Kilmarnock's doing it, but Livingston know it's to their advantage. That's a big thing for them going into games, knowing that they train on it every day. They play on it every second week, so it is an advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. As it stands at the moment in the Scottish Premiership, 0-0 between Celtic and Motherwell, Dundee 0, Hibs 2, Hearts 1, St Johnstone 0, Ross County 0, Kilmarnock 0 and St Mirren 1, Livingston 0. Third round of the Scottish Cup, incredible amount of matches. We'll take you through them. Albion Rovers 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1. Really finding form since you weren't at their one of their testimonial dinners, and I was. They're really starting to get it together. Annan 3, Dumbarton 2. What a turnaround in that match. Brora Rangers 1, Pollock 0. It's Broxburn Athletic 0-0 with Bucky Thistle. Cumnock 0, Broomhill 3. Dunbar United 1, Alloa 2. Falkirk 3, Formartine 0. Greenock Morton 3, Bonesh United 0. Hamilton Accies 0, Kelty Hearts 2. Inverness and Cownbeath is 0-0. Montrose are 2-0 up in Edinburgh City. Partick Thistle 3, Queen's Park 0. It's Peterhead 1, Ayr United 0. Queen of the South 2, Dundee United 2. Stirling Albion 0, Cove Rangers 2. Stranraer 0, Airdrieonians 1. Spartans 2-1 up in Arbroath. And Trinent 0, Forfar Athletic 1. Any major shocks?
Ayr United getting beat for Peterhead.
Yeah.
It's a shock.
Yep.
Yeah. I was actually talking about the Scottish Cup. I was at the game last night, Dunfermline Wraith. Wraith were brilliant.
He's doing great there, Ian Murray.
Honestly, absolutely brilliant.
Were they have a big move?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
They had just too many good. I mean, Sam Stanton.
He played a weird. They played. I don't know how he got them all in the team, but he said that last night was a 3-6-1.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why they went. I was texting me Mickey after the game. It was Colin Cameron. I thought they were great. Too many good, really good footballers, and he said that's why they played 3 at the back, because they had to. Dylan Easton, his run for the first goal was brilliant, and of course Louis Vaughan, who's been when I was there. It's so unlucky, the boy, incredibly unlucky, but just keeps bouncing back. And but they were way too good for Dunfermline last night. Yeah,
and of course Fife Derby. It's one of those. It's got a wee bit of needle about it as well. I mean, I loved the tweet from Wraith Rovers saying just a comfortable win against their neighbours. You know, it's one of those ones.
Yeah, it is, because I think they've played each other 4 times this season, and it's been 3 wins and a draw for Dunfermline, for Wraith. So. It's, you know, they can't get the better of them. Wraith have got their number. Ian Murray's got James McPake's number, there's no doubt about it, in terms of tactics and setup and results. So, no, Ian's quite a quiet guy. I played with Ian for 7 years at Hibs, and I don't think I heard him saying more than 3 sentences. So, he's a very, very quiet lad. He's not going to ever, push himself in the media, but his team's doing the talking for him, and that's the main thing. He's no got a big budget there, and they're the only team in the Championship that's actually putting a challenge into Dundee United at the minute.
Yep, okay. The big news from Celtic Park is quite simply that Lewis Palmer has missed the penalty kick, and that was a chance to give Celtic the edge in this match. It's tight, and they continue to swarm all over Motherwell, but Motherwell are just quite simply digging their heels in, and quite a lot of the frustration starts to just come from the stands. The longer it goes on, you can have a 25-yard shot that just misses the target in the 15th minute, and everybody goes, oh. Once you get to 76 minutes and it's 0-0, people are going, rubbish, come on.
Mm-hmm. Of course, yeah, that's what that happens in every ground, but when there's 60,000 there, it becomes a little bit harder, and I've said before, it's amazing when you've got 60,000 behind you, but when you're not scoring and you're expected to beat Motherwell, they get frustrated and it gets onto the pitch, and some players can't possibly handle that because they've not been used to it. But there's still time to go, and they'll still be pushing, real pushing, and they might need to go a wee bit longer with O there, and just play off him.
Yeah, I'm wondering about their ability to mix it up, and whether O is the man to salvage something there.
I think his hold-up play and his link-up play, I think, is very good.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's why Celtic struggle in Europe, because even though Kyogo has done incredibly well, his goal scoring is fantastic, I don't think his hold-up play and link-up play is great. So when you're in Europe, when the ball does come up, it needs to stick, and so it just becomes coming back, so the midfield can't get up and support and the defence can't get out. That's why I think sometimes they struggle in Europe.
Well, that's an interesting one, because quite simply this is domestic football, and they can't get that goal that they're craving at the moment. So we will keep you up to date with what's happening in that match, but quite simply there's quite a lot of frustrated Celtic fans in that match against Motherwell. 0-0 is the scoreline from that match. Elsewhere, Hibs with a chance to really have a good result today and look towards continuing to climb up that ladder. And I tell you right now, Mikey Johnson has been fouled, and Celtic have another penalty. It's just ridiculous. Penalty to Celtic.
That'll be the conspiracy theorists back out there. Stop penalty Rangers this weekend.
It's got to be a T-shirt penalty to Celtic. It's just becoming relentless now. Second penalty to a chance to score. Does the same guy take it?
No, I wouldn't.
Push him out of the way.
You've got to have big cojones for Palmer to take it again after missing one. I would give it.
Well, Kyogo's missed one, David Turnbull's
missed one, I know, you're running it.
Matt Riley, he's been scoring goals, so step up and go and take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we'll keep you up to date with that and what's happening there. But quite simply, when the goals hit the back of the net, we will keep you right up to date. St Mirren now 2-0 up on Livingston. So, as you mentioned there, no surprise.
No surprise, Peter. I think that St Mirren this season have been excellent at home. Livingston, they're really struggling at the minute. It's going to be, I think, 6 defeats in the bounce. It's hard to see them getting out of it. It's hard to see them getting out of it at the minute.
It's not a great combination when you're losing goals and not scoring goals.
Can't score either.
I mean, it's the worst. So.
Yeah, and of course,
David
Celtic, well, he's got the goal, and Dundee have got a goal as well. It's Dundee 1, Hibs 2, but Celtic have got their goal too. Well, I know you're a prophet of doom. It's coming back to haunt everyone.
You're talking about the transmitting on the pitch. Those Hibs supporters up at Dens Park, I've seen them throw away so many leads this season. They've got 10 men. They've got
Turnbull that scored.
Yeah,
stepped up. Well, that's what you need.
Yeah,
you need big
I think he's somebody that I think has got that.
David, you had him with him 9 teams, and David believes in himself, which you need to believe in yourself. You're going to be play for.
His goal scoring record's been excellent for Celtic. He never lets anyone down.
You've missed one and you're under pressure 90th minute, so fair play to him.
Well, the point here is this is a boy who was really not part of Ange Postecoglou's plans, and then suddenly Brendan Rodgers comes back and he's back in there.
I know, but that's different managers like different players, and Ange maybe didn't dislike him. He just liked the other ones in front of him that gave him what he wanted. But as we all know, a new manager comes in, it's a clean slate, and it's worked for David.
Yeah, and the other thing that I do think, apart from the obvious situation here where it's a penalty and he gets the goal, but the other thing about David Turnbull is he offers something different from 20-25 yards out, because more often than not when Celtic are going through their dink from one end of the park to the other, it becomes monotonously boring. It also becomes predictable. You need someone who can not only breach the lines with a pass, but obviously if you've got somebody who hits the ball from 20 yards, it's something different.
Yeah, and as Jacko said there, he's not scared. He's got confidence in his belief, and he's got a great striker of the ball. Technically, he's very good. You've seen it at Motherwell. He came through at Motherwell and scored a lot of goals way to Celtic. And the thing I like about him, and he's always ready to play. He can spend long periods out the team, but then he just comes back into the team and he looks as if he's never been away. So he trains hard, he looks after himself, and he's always ready to come in and play. And he's popped up with some important goals, and that could be a really important one for Celtic this season.
Massive.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a huge goal, and it's almost that air of inevitability, isn't it? Just quite a few of my mates who are Rangers fans, they always say, well, they're just waiting for the inevitable to come, when they're hoping for that sniff of hope, and it just doesn't materialise.
Yeah, everyone will be sitting saying they'll get a goal, they'll get a goal, but the longer it goes on, you end up snatching at things, and but they've got another penalty, and he's put away. So I'm sure everyone at Celtic Park will be relieved.
Yeah,
twice I've done that in Motherwell this season.
Yeah, it's painful.
Yeah, they looked as if they'd a cert point if they're scoring in the 94th minute.
Well, Darren mentioned something at the start of the programme, which I think quite a lot of Motherwell fans will be thinking about. Does he come under pressure, or does he deserve
not under
for that one?
Not under that result today, Pete. I said it yesterday. Unless you get beat 6 or 7-0, then I don't think this game is going to, in the grand scheme of things, it'll be the next week. I don't know who they've got next week, but it was a kind of, not a free hit, but it was a game where Motherwell could go out and try and get something, but nobody expect them to get anything. But it's the games coming up that's going to be more important, I think, for Stuart.
Yeah, 4 minutes of added time in the match there between Ross County and Kilmarnock. So suddenly it's 6 minutes added on at Dens Park as well. I'll just telling you that St Mirren's goal was disallowed, so it's still St Mirren 1, Livingston 0. I think the situation is offside. That's the other thing about it. Really,
it's about 5 minutes after they scored.
Do you know the funny thing is, and I hate to sound like somebody who's talking about something that was 100 years ago, but usually when we actually commentated on the football on the radio, what you saw was what you were getting. Nowadays, we're in the 21st century. The game's changed, not for the better, may I add. You're in a situation where you're calling out a goal, and then it's changed. Motherwell have equalised 1-1.
Have they?
1-1. 90th minute. Incredible.
There you go, the same thing happened.
One of the finest managers ever for Motherwell, Stuart Kettlewell. I think there could be a new deal on that.
Is Lightning going to strike twice again? Are we going to get a point snatched away? We'll see, because I think there'll be a lot of time added on, but fair play to Motherwell for coming back for that. You thought that 1-0 the game's done, but
100%.
Is it actually one each? But I mean,
yes.
It could be.
Yep, absolutely. That's the other thing.
The body below, defending really well for 90 minutes, and they got up another penalty against them. Fair play to the players going up the pitch and
yeah, this is the joy of this game of football that we absolutely love. There's twists and turns along the way, and when the ball hits the back of the net, we get reaction from Tam and Darren. And I think today it's just one of those days where we've basically been amazed from 1 minute to the next. That's the joy of football. And as we mentioned there, that equalising goal, John Obika will be a man who will be celebrated by the Motherwell fans if it indeed ends that way. Obika is one of those players. He's a kind of lots of muscle, and he kind of a pounds about. There's no great silkiness or touch to him. He's one of those battering rams at times, the way he kind of plays football. Yeah,
I think he's come up from down south, and he's just a big target man. I think he's left side. He's got decent pace. He's not a bad player actually. He's been out injured for a while, but listen, he's come in today off the bench, and that could be a massive point for Motherwell. It could stop the rot in terms of getting beat, and as I said, there'll still be maybe 4 or 5 minutes left for Celtic to get a goal, but if Motherwell can get a draw, no one's seen that coming, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing about it as well, as you look at these games, I'm looking at them all, there's 7, 8, 9 minutes added on right across the country. So people know that there's still time. But from Motherwell's perspective, the stats at the end of the game, you look and you say to yourself, you know, at times you can get lost in statistics, but have very rarely been up the park and then they score a goal.
Yeah.
Doesn't say a lot for Celtic's defending.
Yeah, well, have lost goals this season, Peter, that you don't expect them to lose. And after going into the last minute and scoring, you would think Motherwell be deflated. Do you know what I mean? But
10 minutes to be added on. They've got time to be deflated.
By the way, watching the Man City game today, they added 8 minutes on and Pep questioned it, and I don't think Man City made a substitution today. And it was like, why is there 8 minutes? It was just like, why is there 8 minutes? And it was 1-1. You would think he'd be wanting more, and maybe he was. It just the way it came over, and the commentators were speaking about it and saying, is he moaning about there's 8 minutes?
Yeah.
So it was strange. It was a strange one.
Absolutely. Managers moan if it doesn't go according to plan, and they'll use any means possible to come up with an excuse for it. So it finished 1-1 in that game in the English Premier League. West Ham are 2-1 up in Burnley now, 94 minutes of that match gone. Luton 2-1 against Crystal Palace, which Everton need like a hole in the head. Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. That's an absolute battering, and also you actually can't sack another manager. They've just got to live with him and get on with it. Pochettino's got to be allowed to sign players.
I think it's a shambles what's happened at that club.
Yeah,
it's a poison.
And all the players. I feel sorry for the manager because, as we spoke about, Brendan saying he's got too many. There's casty thousands there. Do you know what I mean? And he doesn't know what he's best. Yes, they've had a couple of not bad results lately. Obviously, Man City last week 4-4. But he must be thinking, what's my best team? I'm having to leave boys out. They can't train. I'm having to put them in different dressing rooms. It's beyond belief what's happened.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3, Sheffield United 0, Bournemouth 3. Full time at Tynecastle, Hearts have defeated St Johnstone by 1-0. It'll be a sweet one for Stephen Naismith against his old boss in Craig Levine. Painful one for St Johnstone to take, brilliant one for Hearts.
Oh, great result, yeah. They have been struggling. They've not been playing as well as they would hope. So just winning the games just now until you get maybe all your players back fit again. So 1-0, clean sheet, and you've got 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big debate will be when they go into the dressing room. Liam Boyce will say, I'm almost certain it's my goal, and Lawrence Shanklin is saying, no, I think if you see the replay, there's a slight touch of me, and it's my goal. And that's the great debate with these things. Of course, some players, and you don't hear it too often now, but I'm sure they're still in place. Some players have deals where if they score a certain amount of goals, there's a huge bonus for them.
Yeah,
remember you see it regularly.
I'm absolutely certain that is at the top level. You get Haalands and guys like that who are sponsored, maybe Adidas or Nike or something like that. If they get 30 goals or whatever, they'll get some sort of bonus. And maybe have it in their contract as well. You know, I never had that in my contract. I don't know if Dan did, but the money they've been safe in mine.
I never know. They might have it if they get the golden boot or something like that. It'll not be amount of goals. It'll be something like if they win the golden boot.
Yeah,
there's a bonus.
Yeah,
they'll probably need it.
Absolutely. I don't think any. I'm trying to think of any sporting company, any sporting goods company anyway, that would offer a bonus for a miserly 12 goals in your best season ever. Somebody might be able to answer that question.
Double figures.
But hey, yeah, exactly. Maybe that was the bonus. But we're into the 6 minute and beyond up at Dens Park. Hibs are clinging on. At that point, you're just booting the ball anywhere, Tom. Never mind that pure football.
Yeah, I hope they can hang on. As I said, they've let slip so many leads, and it starts to become a habit. I remember I was at Hibs and we went through a period of the exact same thing. I remember being 4-2 up in the Derby game at Tynecastle when Graham Weir came on and scored the 2 goals, and that was we were going through a period. We were 2-0 up, 2 each, 3-1 up, 3 each, 1-0, 1 each, which you couldn't win a game, and 4-2 up into injury time, and thinking we've won the game, and then 4 each. So it does seep into your mindset, and you need to try and get out of that. And Hibs need to get through this last couple of minutes and win that game.
Yeah, that table is going to look mightily appealing to Rangers fans because they will effectively have 2 games in hand and a chance to reduce the gap, big style, if they can win up at Pittodrie first and foremost. You know, we could be down to 3 points at the top end of the table, Tom.
Yeah, it could be, and it's going to give Rangers a massive lift if Celtic drop points here, and Celtic have already dropped 2 points at home to St Johnstone earlier in the season, and they were imperious at home last season under Ange. I think they won enough every game. I can't off the top of my head. So this could be 4 points dropped to Motherwell and St Johnstone at home, which is no good enough, and it gives Rangers a big boost to go to Aberdeen and close that gap. And I think maybe a month ago everybody was saying the league's done. Celtic have won the league in a canter, but it looks as if it's all going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Ross County have managed a clean sheet. Kilmarnock haven't won an away game all season. It's 0-0. It's finished.
Not a bad result for them, but
yeah, you're going up there. It's always hard going up to Ross County and Inverness. So I think Derek will obviously wanted to win the game. They've got a new manager. They get Ross County possibly getting a little lift, so I don't think he'll be too downhearted getting a point.
St Johnstone with a 1-0 win and 3 points for the Paisley side. What a good result that is for St Mirren as well. So all 3 points in the win over Livingston. 6 consecutive defeats for Livingston now.
yeah, and we spoke about it earlier, Peter. It's a hard spell they're going through, and you can't really see where their next wins coming for, next points coming for. St Johnstone, although they got beat today, they look much improved under Craig Levein. You would think that they would start to climb up the table. It was a tough game away to Hearts, but Livingston are in big trouble, and this could be the season that they finally depart the Premier League, because they have done ever so well just to stay in the league over the last 3 or 4 seasons.
I've got a gut feeling on this one because Kilmarnock, I think it's season 20, I think it might be 25-26 or indeed 24-25, the news that was revealed that they were ripping up their pitch and they're going to put grass down. I think it's 25-26. Then I think if Livingston were to go out of the league, I think
it would give the league
a chance to change the rules.
Yeah,
absolutely. Hibs cling on, back-to-back league games for the first time this season. Tam, good win for Hibs, 2-1.
Yep, great win, Peter. I think to go up to Dundee, who have started the season well, to go up and get 3 points, grind out a win, with 10 men, I think it'll give them, confidence as well. Kilmarnock beating them 1-0 at home, back-to-back wins. I think it's been coming. I think Hibs' performances have merited more over the last month. But it's important that they put a run of wins together, and as I said, they've got a real chance, Kilmarnock, Dundee, and they've got games coming up that they should be looking to win. But that's a good result for Hibs, good 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely, fantastic result for them. And of course, it's one of those ones where the boys come in and Lewis Miller goes, whew, because he has contributed. He's scored a goal, but maybe second yellow card. He might suffer a quick clip round the ear from his manager.
We've not seen it. We don't know what's happened. Has it been for verbals? I know.
Absolutely.
We don't
That's
know.
the other thing.
If it was something that he's, managers, if he's flew into a tackle or whatever and he mistimed it, whatever, but if it's dissent or something like that, then I would understand the players and manager. I don't know if you've seen an American boy get sent off the other day, the boy Dest that plays for PSV.
Oh, yeah, I think they had to hold him back,
for Trinidad, he get booked for mouthing to the referee and then done that to him and get sent off, and the goalkeeper for the USA was about to batter him before he went off.
Yeah.
And they were all fighting in the dressing room. They won, I think they beat Trinidad in a playoff or something, but he gets sent off for quickly 2 bookings. So if it's something like that, you're going mental at your teammate for leaving you down to 10.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure it wasn't that.
Just waiting for the final whistle at Celtic Park, but I'll tell you, it would be a fantastic point for Stuart Kettlewell, and I think it's just at this moment, I'm looking at the scorelines here. Hibs have won 2-1 against Dundee. Hearts have a 1-0 win over St Johnstone. Ross County 0, Kilmarnock 0, St Mirren 1, Livingston 0 is the scoreline there. So that's the other matches. We're going to discuss them. We're going to look ahead to Aberdeen against Rangers as well, because that has huge implications at the top end of the table. So we'll discuss that as well. But as things stand at the moment, quite a lot of Celtic fans will be heading home not happy that it's ended 1-1.
Full time, yeah. and it obviously doesn't help the demonstration before the game and all that. And so it's been a bad day all round, really, for Celtic.
Yeah. It's a strange situation. I can't quite work out this season because you are looking at a manager who's come back. He's one of the top coaches, I think, and I think everybody accepts that he's a really, really good coach in Brendan Rodgers. But, you know, there's been fits and starts. It's been patchy for me, the return of Brendan Rodgers. There's no real clear, distinct DNA of this is the way they're playing since the Ange days to the Rodgers days. There are moments in Europe where I've watched them play really good possession football, but the results haven't backed that up. And then you get a situation where against a Motherwell side that have been in poor form, Celtic can't beat them.
Yeah, I think it's not helped. They've had injuries to key players. I think that
Who?
Well, Abada was one of them.
Yeah.
I think Maeda was injured today. He was out. You know, selling Jota.
There's no real defence, is there?
No, I don't think there's a defence, Peter. But they've struggled to break teams down, and
Yes.
you need your forward players to be on it. O's come on a couple of times. He scored a late winner against St Mirren not that long ago. They couldn't repeat the dose today, but when Celtic go 1-0 up, you know, with 5 minutes to go at home to Motherwell, we should be seeing the game out. There's no excuse for that. And you know, for Motherwell to go up the park in the last minute and score a goal and get a point is disappointing. But listen, you've got to give Motherwell credit. You know, as we said, two penalties for Celtic. They scored one and missed one. But for Motherwell to come back from that and get a point is a great result. And it just shows you you can never predict anything. You know, St Johnstone went there earlier in the season when people were predicting 5 and 6, got a 0-0 draw, and Celtic, you know, again dropped points today. So listen, there'll be a post-mortem. There'll be a lot of criticism over the weekend, and depending if Rangers got to Aberdeen and close the gap again tomorrow, you'll look at it as 2 points dropped. You know, if Rangers don't get them and beat Aberdeen tomorrow, then it will limit the damage. But it's a poor result for Celtic. There's no getting away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Scottish Cup third round ties. Of course, Darren mentioned there, Raith Rovers going through comfortably against Dunfermline. Today, Albion Rovers 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1. Great result for the Rose. Annan 3, Dumbarton 3. It's gone to extra time in that one. I don't believe it should go to extra time now. Straight to penalties, just finish it off.
Yeah, I think it should go straight to penalties.
Yeah.
But I don't make the rules.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, it's almost as if you're just not happy with me. I don't make the rules. Brora Rangers 1, Pollock 0, Broxburn 1, Bucky Thistle 1. And it's extra time in that one as well. I've got a full time for you now from one of the grounds. I'll come back to you on that once I know exactly what it is. Let's go to Tynecastle. Adam Binney.
Full time at Tynecastle Park. It has finished Hearts 1, St Johnstone 0. Liam Boyce has grabbed the only goal of the game as Craig Levine tastes defeat on his return to Tynecastle Park. The Jambos got that goal just after the hour mark when Alex Lowry slid the ball down the left hand side for Alex Cochrane. He then met the ball with a first time wide cutback which perfectly picked out Liam Boyce in the centre of the penalty area. He swept the ball beyond Dimitar Mitov and goal with his left foot to clinch all 3 points for the Jambos. They remain in 4th position in the Scottish Premiership and now make it 9 wins in their last 10 matches against the Perth Saints. St Johnstone's unbeaten run of 3 matches since changing manager is now over as they slip to 11th and into that relegation spot in the Scottish Premiership table. Full time in the capital, Hearts 1, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, and there you are, Adam, as ever, on that one and giving us the insight into a good result for Stephen Naismith. What do you make of it? Give us your thoughts on our YouTube channel, on Twitter, and of course live on Facebook as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the Jambos getting that win, and certainly when you look at the table, it's a good position for Hearts to be in as we continually look to see who's going to make that climb. And we're talking about St Mirren having a good start to the season. Well, Hearts are suddenly only 2 points behind them, Tom.
Yeah, they are, and they're starting to pick up results as well, Hearts. And you know, it was only going to be a matter of time before the Hearts and Hibs started to put results together with the squads they've got. They've obviously both started the season pretty stickily. Aberdeen's another one who I expect, once they depart from Europe, to put results together. So it's important to stay in touch. And Hearts and Hibs, listen, it's both of them in a mix for third place, as they should be. But St Mirren, if they can just keep grinding out results at home, they're going to be in the mix as well. So, no, all to play for. And listen, Aberdeen have got a game tomorrow, obviously a tough one against Rangers, but I think it's going to be a matter of time before they start picking up points. I think they're better than the league position indicates at the moment.
Good win for Hearts though, 1-0 against St Johnstone. They're away to Kilmarnock, and then they've got the home match at Tynecastle against Rangers before heading up to Pittodrie, and then the 16th of December they're going to face Celtic, then it's St Mirren, and then the 27th of December they're away to Hibs. So there's a real run of very, very tough games for the Jambos coming up.
Yeah, I mean, they're all tough, Peter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what if you're in good form or not. Obviously, you go into them a lot more confident if you're winning games. But I think they're 2 points off because I think everyone's been, apart from Celtic and Rangers, everyone else has been really inconsistent. They've gone on a run where they've maybe put 4 or 5 results together, and then they've gone 4 or 5 defeats. So that's why they're not too far away. Like we spoke about St Mirren. Did you say 11 games without defeat and then 1 and 7?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If they'd taken maybe 3 and 4, 3 out of the 4 out of the 7, they would have been away. So it's just the inconsistency of every team.
Yeah.
But it's a run of hard games for Hearts, but winning games breeds confidence. So they'll go into the game a lot more confident than they would have been a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Let's hear about St Mirren from Patrick Mullen.
Full time here at the Smythe Stadium, and it has finished St Mirren 1, Livingston 0. It's an own goal in the 39th minute by Jason Holt that has inflicted a 6th straight defeat for David Martindale's side to leave them bottom of the Premiership table. It was an uneventful first 30 minutes of this one, but it was brought to life when down the left-hand side Greg Kiltie tried to whip the ball into the bottom right-hand corner. It was saved well by Shamal George, but he could only spill it to the half of Jason Holt, who just had to bundle the ball into his own net. Into the second half we went, and Jason Holt again was involved. He went close with a great opportunity, and Livingston looked to push on and push on. You have to say they probably did deserve a point here, and just in the dying moments of this one, it was a wonderful save by Zach Hemming when the ball was cut back to Joel Newberry right on the edge of the box. He looked to slot it into the bottom right-hand corner, and it was a wonderful save to keep all 3 points for St Mirren. It's finished here at the Smythe Stadium. St Mirren 1, Livingston 0.
Yeah, difficult times coming up for David Martindale, and a tough run at the moment for them. 6 consecutive defeats, as Patrick Mullen mentioned there. We'll get the thoughts of Stephen Robinson and David Martindale from that ground. We'll also hear what Craig Levein has to say on his return to Tynecastle, where Stephen Naismith is a delighted manager. Hearts getting all 3 points with a 1-0 win. Brendan Rodgers, what will he have to say at the end of a 1-1 scoreline against Motherwell? They absolutely dominated that game, had 2 penalties, scored one of them, and then allowed John Obika the chance to equalise, and shots few and far between in Motherwell's favour. In fact, getting possession in Celtic's half all too rare. So to score a goal with so few chances, it's great credit to Stuart Kettlewell's side for digging in. There will be fallout from that. Celtic fans, as ever, never happy when they drop points, and it's certainly giving a real sniff to Rangers as they head up to Pittodrie to face Aberdeen. Just interestingly enough, we're talking about the run of games. Hibs with that win up at Dens Park against Dundee. Their next home game is against Aberdeen, and then they've got 4 games on the road, Tam. Celtic, Livingston, St Johnstone and Ross County.
Yeah, listen, I think there's going to be a difficult run of games. Celtic away is obviously one where anything you pick up's a bonus, but the other games you would fancy Hibs to go and win. You know, Livingston away, St Johnstone away, Ross County away. You know, that's 3 games that you can go and win. But Aberdeen at home is going to be a big game. I think that Aberdeen will be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. I still believe that, and you know, it's a real chance for Hibs to really put a marker down in terms of that 3rd place. But 2 wins in a row for Hibs, the confidence will be high in the team, and they'll be looking to get back to winning ways again at Easter Road next week.
And I think at this moment, I'm just looking for the overall games coming up for Rangers. Up at Aberdeen tomorrow, 6, 9, 10 games to go before they eventually go to the 11th game before the break, which is at Celtic Park. So Rangers are playing up at Aberdeen. Philippe Clement, the Rangers manager, has been speaking about the matches, and the one thing that he has mentioned with the games against Aberdeen is quite simply there is no point in looking back at previous fixtures. It's all about the here and now.
No, I don't think it works that way. I never work that way. The past is the past, and every game has his own story. There are other players available now on both sides. It's an away game. That's not an advantage in that way. No, every game has its own story, and we need to focus on ourselves.
Yeah, and that's for the match at Pittodrie, where there's a little bit of needle about this one, because some people suggesting that Aberdeen raise their game to another level way beyond what they do for other teams in the Scottish Premiership. When Rangers come calling, there's a bit of bad blood all over the years. Actually, there was a bit of bad blood before it even got to the Neil Simpson tackle many years ago on Ian Durrant. There's always been something about those games. Of course, always fuel to the fire when Fergie wanted Aberdeen to win against Celtic or Rangers. There was a bit of needle. But this one's got a wee bit about it now, an added incentive. Rangers can pick up points, extra points, and close that gap on Celtic.
Give them a massive incentive, Peter, tomorrow. Yes, going up there, they know it's going to be hard. I think the manager's saying, yes, previous games don't really matter, but I've no doubt he'll have been watching. He will have been watching Aberdeen because he's just come, obviously, to Rangers, and he needs to see how other teams play. So they'll have watched a lot of the way Aberdeen play. Maybe not previous games, but Aberdeen's previous games. So, but it's always a good game. It's always a good game to watch.
Are they good enough to beat Rangers? They've come off the back of a 6-0 hiding from Celtic.
I don't think Aberdeen are good enough to beat Rangers. At Pittodrie they are. Listen, Pittodrie they are. I don't think they will be tomorrow. I think Rangers will get the result tomorrow.
Yeah, I think a lot of Aberdeen fans that I've been speaking to certainly not happy that they lost 3 goals in a very short space of time, deep into injury time against Celtic. That was one thing that left a lot of them well and truly peeved, but they still think there are signs of what Barry Robson's doing that would suggest, some positive European results, certainly away to PAOK Salonika, that they have what it takes to cause a little bit of an upset.
Yeah, there's no excuses now, Peter. They've had 2 weeks to prepare for it. I think the Celtic game was in the back of a real tough game in Greece, 2 each. I think to come back on the Friday, prepare on Saturday, then go back down to Glasgow, and play Celtic on the Sunday was a tough ask, and 6-0 flattered Celtic. They scored 3 goals in the last 6 minutes injury time. I don't think it was a 6-0 game, but at Pittodrie, I would, that's the best opportunity clearly. But Aberdeen have beat Rangers at Ibrox this season. They've got that in the locker. They know they can beat Rangers, and I think they're capable of getting. I don't think they'll beat Rangers, but I think they're capable of getting a point out of the game if they defend properly and take their chances. Because in Majowski, they've got someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. I think he's a tremendous striker. Played during the week against England, so he'll come back full of beans, and I think they're capable of getting something off of Rangers. But I think it'll be a very, very close game.
Yeah, lots of people reacting to the scorelines. Paul Brady says Rangers have to win tomorrow. A Celtic's draw today is meaningless. One thing about the current Rangers team, they haven't coped well with the pressure. Well, I think, Paul, when you look at the results under Philippe Clement, it's certainly a world away from Michael Beale and what they were producing for that manager. So he deserves tremendous credit. If he is getting a trick out of them, they're showing it. They're getting points. Can they get 3 points against Aberdeen? We are about to find out tomorrow. We will have our reporter Kobe Henderson up there giving us all the latest, and you can follow it right across our social media channels. But at this moment, I think one little message coming in: if Livingston sack Martindale because of the poor run of form currently, they should be hounded out. No loyalty. I don't think there's any suggestion whatsoever that David Martindale will be sacked. I think even if they go down, they're going to stick with him because, quite simply, he fits into their plan, their style, their structure, their the way they want to run the club. And this is, let's not forget, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, he was linked with a job at St Johnstone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any chance David will get sacked. He's done an incredible job. You've got to try and back. This is where we want clubs to actually back a manager who has overachieved over the last few years for you. Back him. They've brought Brian Rice in. It's not going to happen right away with Chipper being there, so that's a no-no for me.
Yeah, I can't see that happening at all. Don't think that's on. But I have to say, when you look at the results today, a lot of Celtic fans not happy with overall the performance of that Celtic side, and to actually drop a couple of points against a Motherwell team that they really, in many Celtic fans' eyes, should be beating. Well, they weren't able to do it because John Obika got that equaliser just so soon after Celtic had taken the lead. And it's a welcome draw when you consider the run that Motherwell are on as well. They didn't have a win in 10 games. They still haven't got a win in 10 games, but they didn't have a win anywhere on that card because they'd 7 defeats. And everybody was looking at Stuart Kettlewell and saying, this is a poor run, something's got to change. And a draw against Celtic is a massive boost.
It is, and if you look at their fixtures, the next 4 games, they've got Dundee, Ross County, St Johnstone and St Mirren. So there's 4 games that you can clearly target points. And it's a real run of games where you can pick up points. And the confidence that they should take from that performance and result today will be massive. The goalkeeper saving a penalty, he'll be high as a kite. John Obika coming off the bench getting the result, and the whole team as a whole going to Parkhead and getting a point is a great result. So they're now in a period of 4 or 5 games where they can target some points and try and get up the table again. But I'm glad for Stuart Kettlewell. I seen him a couple of weeks ago. He was getting a bit miffed with some of the questions that the reporter was asking him about if he thought he was under pressure. And we spoke about it yesterday. He's the 4th longest serving manager in Scottish football, and he's been there since February or March or something. It's incredible, and that is just, who would want to be a manager now? Who would want to be a coach or a manager where 7 or 8 games into it, you're under pressure? It's an unforgiving game. So I'm glad for him that he can maybe relax tonight and not get abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. There are moments when I have great pity for and sympathy for managers because of the stress, because of the pressure, and the other aspect of it, which not a lot of us realise, their families suffer as well, because some managers just go into a shell, don't want to talk to anybody.
Big time Saturday night. It's the highs and lows, and listen, there's no doubt he'll be high tonight for the result, but there was no expectations today. The expectations, as you say, the run they've got, the expectations, they need to start actually winning games. So the pressure never goes away. For probably a club like Motherwell, the pressure never really goes away. For all of them, Hearts, we're talking about Stephen Naifit, for Rangers and Celtic, got to win the league, the pressure never leaves them. It's with them 24/7. You wake up on a Sunday morning, then you and think, right, I'll watch the game for who we're playing next week and all that. It never leaves them. Yeah,
it's a strange situation. Did you find that when you were playing? Were you able to switch off?
Well, a player's kind of probably different than a manager, because he's thinking ahead and what we're going to do in training this week and all that. As a player, you played, and if you won on a Saturday, you went out.
Yeah.
If you didn't, you went out.
Beat, you get out.
If you went out.
And there is the difference in the 2 players. One went to a World Cup, the other one didn't.
So, listen, I'm totally different for a manager, Peter. And I wouldn't say, like people say, oh, especially now. It's always been. It's always but there's more pressure because it's more highlighted now. There's more television. There's more papers and all that. So it's hard. It's really hard. I just hope. There's been a lot of pressure on him, and I hope he can kind of take a wee chill tonight and just enjoy it.
Yeah, get himself.
You've got to enjoy him going to Celtic Park and get his team putting on a brilliant performance. It's always going to be different. You're not going to be without the ball. They'll have worked all week probably without a ball.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But in fair play to the players, going a goal behind for another penalty and going up the pitch and getting the equaliser.
Yeah, well,
so it'll take a lot of confidence from that.
Yeah, I was going to say it's maybe a night that he can let his hair down, but there's that much gel in it that I don't think it moves. he'll just sit there.
Yeah.
He'll just sit there. Yeah, it's like that, isn't it? He'll just sit there and have a glass of wine. Good luck to you, Stuart. I think we all feel the pain at times, but to get the points. Celtic 1, Motherwell 1, Dundee 1, Hibs 2. Hibs had a man sent off, and that man scored a goal for Hibs, Lewis Miller. He'll be feeling feeling relieved, to say the very least. 2 yellow cards sent off, wondering if Hibs were indeed going to throw away another 2-goal advantage, but they didn't. They held on and they got the win. Hearts with that solitary goal, we're still waiting to see. We'll probably have to look at it from 15 angles to see if it's Boyce's goal or Shankland's goal. Ross County 0, Kilmarnock 0.
Go to VAR.
Well, it's a very good situation. I think probably.
Boyce will want to go to VAR for given to Shankland.
I think they probably will.
VAR Monday morning in the training ground.
It's a fairly straightforward process now because you get so many camera angles on it. Yeah, great credit to Derek Adams as well, because they've managed a 0-0 draw against Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock's performances away from home are abysmal. I just wonder about it. It sends out that clear signal that there is an advantage playing on that surface, and they don't seem to be able to replicate that when they're on the road. Terrible, really, but you'll probably look at it, as the boys have mentioned, and maybe take a positive from the fact they're on the road at Dingwall in a difficult place to get points. But it's still, Killie fans must be at this point saying to themselves every week, we're on the road. We're not going to get anything positive. It must be painful at times. St Mirren 1, Livingston 0. An own goal gives Stephen Robinson's side all 3 points. And that's the story of the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen against Rangers, we mentioned, is tomorrow. Really looking forward to that. It's going to be a cracker. Of course, the one thing that we're talking about with all these managers and their pain is who they're going to sign. There was a little bit of talk this morning, Tam, that Rangers might be looking for the return of Ryan Kent.
We don't know the financial terms of what that is. I think he's obviously went to Turkey for money, basically. I think he's went there as a free and got a lot of money in terms of a sign-on fee and his wages. I don't think he's been doing particularly well at Fenerbahce. I think he's been in and out the team from what I've seen. I think if Rangers can get him back and it's financially viable for the club in terms of a loan deal, then I would take him. I think that he's...
Would you?
I think he's as good, if not better, than what's there, Peter. I don't think they've replaced him.
Listen, I always thought his goal record and his assists weren't good enough. But are Rangers a better team with him in it? I think so.
Yeah, that's a good point you make. I'm not a huge fan of him.
No, listen, I'm not saying, but I think they are a better
team now.
Yes,
playing that team now.
He's a better
team. Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Listen, Philippe Clement had his own thoughts on Ryan Kent returning.
I can tell something really important. For the next 2 months, I never go into rumors because it's no use to go into rumors. I will speak about players if they are in the building, because I've been out more than 30 years in football. So many things can happen before a player is in the building or out the building. It's of no use to talk about rumors with me, because I can only say things when they are realistic. And it's not about this case. I want to be clear about that. It's just in general for the next 2 months, for December and January.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anything, Philippe Clement will get used to what happens in Scotland. There's 350 players linked, none of them with any great substance, only an agent pushing or a player just mentioning to the odd journalist here and there, any chance of linking me there, you never know, somebody might actually sign me. That's the way it goes. That's the merry-go-round of speculation. We all used to like it. Big thanks to Mike, who says, Darren speaks pish. There you are. That's basically, that's the level sometimes that this programme descends into. Thanks, Mike, for your derogatory language. I just thought I'd we had a week where I thought we'd welcome Darren back into the fold, and then after that, just let
That's
it
quite tame, actually.
As well, just about to say, by the way, yeah. Would you believe it?
It's a break for me getting it.
Well, not only that, I mean, we have one. It just shows you the nature of society. Mike, obviously, try and be constructive about these things. I mean, I feel for Alison McConnell because Alison absolutely gets it, in the neck with some people who've got no decency whatsoever and giving pelters to Alison, who does a fantastic job for us, one of our best signings at PLZ. But, there is no quarter given for a lady or even a man who played with distinction for Hearts, Hibs, Newcastle, Celtic and his own country. Mike is just not having it. And I like Niall Kane. Mike, this is not the show for you. which kind of sums it up perfectly. There's a good shout. We're talking about Ryan Kent. I tell you one thing, Kevin Van Veen back at Motherwell or anywhere else in Scotland is, I mean, there should be some managers right now gathering a bit of pace, Darren, and saying, come on, let's see if we can get him.
I think Hibs and Hearts should look at him. Definitely. I mean, his record, he broke the record. Did he score something?
30 odd goals for Motherwell.
Yeah. Was it 12 games in a row?
Yeah.
I think it was something like that. He had an unbelievable season. And it's gone there and it's not worked out. But he looks a fit boy. What is he, 30?
31, I think.
31. He still looks fit. So I think Hibs or Hearts should be looking at that. I know the Motherwell fans would probably be, and Tam having a go at me because they want him back there. But I think the finances would be quite hard for a Motherwell, where maybe a Hibs or Hearts could pay somewhere near.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, Darren, if we're looking and we're arguing over extra time between Annan Athletic and Dumbarton is proving value for money. Dumbarton have just taken the lead again. It's Annan Athletic 4, Dumbarton 5. And this is one of those school games where they're going up the park and scoring. And it's tit for tat here, but it's a late one. And suddenly, Dumbarton 5-4 up in Annan Athletic, trying to get into the 4th round of the Scottish Cup, Tom.
Yep, and I think Annan battered them in the playoffs last year. I think it was 6-0 or something, so that's maybe a wee bit of retribution from last year. So
yeah, wish you could say retribution, but nevertheless, you're turning into Ruffy, you know, honestly. If it's close to the word,
it's close.
Fire it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Revenge is in the air. It would have been easier for you to say that. But anyway, Dumbarton are 5-4 up against Annan.
Dundee United, Peter?
And Dundee United, I can tell you right now, at the bottom end there, when I was going through them, it's extra time and it's 2-2 at the moment. So the Scottish Cup 3rd round ties, there are matches which have ended with a clear, decisive full time, and that's Albion Rovers 0, Bonnyrigg Rose 1. They're into the 4th round. Just in the last few minutes of Annan and Dumbarton, Broder Rangers have knocked out Pollock by a 0-0. Broxburn and Bucky are 1-1 extra time there. Cumnock 0, Broomhill 3. Dunbar 1, Alloa 2. Falkirk 3 for Martin 0. Greenock Morton 4, Bournemouth United 0. Hamilton Accies 0, Kelty Hearts 2, Inverness 2, Cowdenbeath 0, Montrose 3, Edinburgh City 0, Partick 3, Queen's Park 0. Good win for the Jags. Peterhead near United, it's going to extra time there, it's still 1-1. Queen of the South 2, Dundee United 2, and then it's Stirling Albion 0, Cove Rangers 2, Stranraer 0, Airdrieonians 1. Spartans 2, Arbroath 1, and Trinent 0, Forfar Athletic 1. Here's what David Martindale made of that defeat today against St Mirren.
Oh, I think they must if everybody's asked me that, but I don't feel that, if I'm honest. Last that on the television there as well. It doesn't feel that. I think that probably goes in the run of results you're on. I don't think there was a lot in the game. So I'm not what to sit here and say St Mirren didn't deserve the 3 points or we deserve something from the game, because ultimately we got nothing from the game. You've only got yourself to blame there, really.
No, he doesn't make any excuses. You know, it's another defeat. It's 6 consecutive defeats. He's not going to sugarcoat it, David Martindale, because quite simply, he knows that they're going to be fighting relegation. Yeah.
He sees it how he sees it. Do you know what I mean? And it's a good way where some people might sugarcoat it and try and say, oh, we were good and we deserved this and we deserved that. He was honest there. Probably St Mirren probably just deserved to win the game, and when you're down there. So, listen, I don't really know David that well. I've obviously spoken to him quite a few times, and I know Chipper. I think he's quite a positive person. I think he'll be in on Monday morning. Enthusiasm. He just strikes me. He's got loads of enthusiasm. And they're down there, and I don't think it'll be doom and gloom. It'll just be working on it. And as I say, they've got. I'm not saying David's obviously done really well and he's a good coach, but he's brought a fantastic coach in Chipper. And I think it's not going to happen right away. And it's just working on things, and it's stop conceding goals. That's first and foremost. You need to stop conceding goals.
Yeah, the other thing though, Darren, and you'll know this, Tam, if you're David Martindale and you're sitting in the dugout, and you know we've just listened to him there and what he has to say, if you're sitting in the dugout and you're thinking, okay, we're playing well, chances few and far between, but then Sean Kelly scores an own goal, one of your own players, and you're thinking, God, the gods are against us.
Yeah, and listen, obviously never seen the game. I don't know how the game went, but you know that's obviously unlucky in Livingston's point of view, an own goal. But I agree with Dan. Listen, I think they knew that we're going to be down there this season. They knew that we're going to be battling relegation, so I don't think it's a surprise. You know, obviously I think last season they were close to making the top 6 of the season before. They were really close, and expectations maybe rose within Livingston that they could do that every season. But for me, success for Livingston is just staying in the division every year. He's got lowest budget. You know, he's not got a lot of money. It's 1 year deals, and he's got to ship 4 or 5 in every year. And if he can keep them up, then great. But he's maybe just missed the boat now in terms of maybe getting out of Livingston, because if they get relegated this season, it maybe challenges what he's done before, which would be unfortunate for him.
It is, but Tom, look at Callum Davidson. That'll never happen, ever happen again. Win 2 cups and Callum is out the game, which is incredible. And as you're right saying, David's we've said he's overachieved, and it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Incidentally, just on stats, and I know everybody likes a bit of stats, and we always like a good noise up as well, Tom. 2 penalties for Celtic there means Celtic have had 8 penalties this season, more than any other team. Just thought I'd tell you.
8 penalties?
8 penalties, yeah, more than any other team. Just thought I'd mention that, Tom, because there is a narrative that sometimes is put out there that, you know, people think it's the gospel, it's the truth. It's, you know, far from the truth.
Celtic and Rangers spend the majority of the game in other team's half. They're going to get more penalties, and it's particularly with VAR now. Celtic and Rangers, particularly at home, they play the game 40 yards for goal. You know, so for the majority of the game. So you're going to be peppering crosses, shots. There's going to be balls getting flying in, tackles getting made in the box and all that. So I've never ever got that. They dominate the ball that much that they're going to be creating more opportunities and maybe getting more penalty shouts.
Yeah, and I think, you know, at the end of the game against Motherwell, Callum McGregor basically, I think from his point of view, he reckons that Celtic are just not getting those small moments correct in the game. They passed up on so many chances, but from his point of view, he's just looking at the game, and certainly from his aftermatch comments, it's really a case of they haven't been able to handle it, and will be disgusted with himself. Huge learning curve, he says, on, you know, giving up a chance to Motherwell, and they've been able to capitalise.
Yeah, Peter, when you Celtic do expect to win every game at Celtic Park, and when a team's coming that's not winning 10, you're thinking you're not getting carried away. But you're thinking you're going to win the game. So to draw the game is to them it'll be like a defeat. It will be like tonight. It'll be like a defeat to the players, and it's by the way, we've all been in it where you just can't break teams down, and that's why it's obviously important to try and get an early goal when teams come and defend, so they have to come out, and then the space you create the spaces that you want. So, but it's not happened today, and they'll be massively disappointed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of Celtic fans will be wondering exactly where it's going at the moment. They're still at the top of the league. I don't think they'll be panicking, but they'll certainly looking and saying, wait a minute, you know, what is he going to do with this side? What type of players is he going to be able to get in? All on the promise of an AGM from a board to say he'll be given money. Brendan Rodgers saying he's going to offload some of the players that clearly are not going to contribute long term to Celtic. It'll be interesting to see what type of player he buys, what standard, and it'll also be interesting to see, Tam, you're talking about the way Brendan Rodgers plays. Sometimes managers have to actually look and be paid as managers to make changes and change the way they play as well. You know, you're saying it's Kyogo up front and that's it, who's going to get in? They might have to look and change the way they play.
Peter, I think they're missing a bit of creativity, a spark, I don't know.
A number 10
type.
Listen, they miss Hatate. I think they miss Hatate.
They miss Hatate, they're missing Jota, who could go by somebody and create. I think that Maid is a different type of player. You know, he's more an athlete getting by people. I think with packed defences, they're missing somebody to skip by somebody and eliminate somebody and open the space for somebody else. And I think they're missing a wee bit of creativity or a spark in that final third. They're a wee bit predictable at the minute, the way they play, and it seems to be cut back, whipped across the goal for Kyogo. If that doesn't happen, what's plan B? And that seems to be, if teams can stop that ball coming across and Kyogo getting across the front, have they got other things that they can get goals from? And that seems to be the problem for me. So I think they need to go and sign a Maverick type player. Whether that fits into the Celtic system, I don't know, but they need more creativity, more quality in the wide areas and the main striker area.
The other aspect of this that you're looking at, Darren, is quite simply, if they are signing players and you're looking for a Maverick type player, a creative player, or you're looking for a striker who can score goals, this whole one for the future or someone from the Asian continent can't surely continue. They need to change the look of it. Brendan Rodgers is adamant that he's got the final call on transfers. So basically, you've got a group of people who are suggesting names to him. You know, he might have. I wonder if he has any names that he'd like them to go and look at that don't fit into the criteria of this age group, this price bracket, this wage bracket.
Well, I would think Brendan would have players that he saw down south, Peter, that maybe aren't getting a game for their club. He was down there long enough, obviously did very well with Leicester. And I would think he'll definitely have players in his mind that he wants. Listen, fair play to Celtic. I take my hat off to Celtic that they backed Ange and they believed in Ange to bring the Kyogos and Hatatis and all that over.
They backed him early though.
Yeah, they backed him early, but maybe one or two are going to be like Hatati and Kyogo are the success. It was always going to be very hard. So you have to trust. I think you have to trust your manager. I know recruitment's massive, and a lot of the time the recruitment and the sporting director that signs the players and all that. But I think there's no chance Brendan will have the say, and there's no doubt he'll have players in his mind that he wants coming out in the AGM saying, I want to trim the squad, I want to bring in quality. I think he'll know 2 or 3 players that he would like to bring in.
Yeah, okay. Full time in that Scottish Cup third round tie, Dumbarton have managed to win by 5-4 at Annan, and we're just waiting on Broxburn are 2-1 up in Bucky Thistle in the last seconds of that match.
That's one of my other ex-clubs as well, Broxburn Athletic.
Did you play for Broxburn Athletic?
3 games.
Fantastic. It's
I went to Meadowbank.
It's almost a
move, the Meadowbank.
I was going to say to you, at least some of the clubs are still in existence. But the other thing is, it's one of my ex clubs is a catchphrase with you two. You've covered near enough the whole of Scottish football, and then of course we're still to get the classic catchphrase, which you haven't heard today. When I played in America. But it'll come. It's only a matter of time when we can get an American link in. Queen of the South 2, Dundee United 2. That match has gone to penalties, so there could be a wee twist here along the way. And again, it just shows you the nature of football. He was on an 18 game run, Jim Goodwin. And
then lost in the cup last week.
Lost a game heavily,
Yeah.
and get criticised.
Yep, and this is listen. The be all and end all for Dundee United obviously is promotion, but you want to run the cup as well, and to go to Queen of the South and potentially get put out would be a bad week for Dundee United.
Oh, especially how poor Queen of the South have been.
And they've been dreadful this season. They're struggling.
Yeah, if that happens, we will keep you up to date with it. Before we go off here, of course, we've been keeping you up to date with what was happening in the Scottish Premiership, but as far as the English Premier League is concerned, some interesting results from down south in the top flight. Man City won, Liverpool won, Haaland scored, and then Trent Alexander-Arnold with an equaliser for Liverpool late on. Burnley won, West Ham United 2. Burnley were 1 goal up in that match, but the Hammers come back. Luton 2, Crystal Palace 1, a huge result for Luton. Newcastle United 4, Chelsea 1. The misery goes on for the Chelsea fans. I think, if you're a Chelsea fan, in fact, if you're a neutral looking from another planet and you see a club that have spent over £1 billion on transfers alone, bringing in players, just not necessarily with any clear strategy, just, he looks as if he's strung 3 or 4 great games together. What's his name, Mudryk? Let's fire in and buy him from Shakhtar Donetsk, and let's buy another player here and there, and it just looks like a scattergun approach, and it's all, coming home to roost.
It is, Peter. We've spoken about it. I just think it's incredible, and it makes it so difficult for the manager. Obviously great club, great manager, but again, he needs time. He needs a clear out. But trying to get the money back for what you've probably spent, you're going to just get half the money now, whether that's a problem or not. But he needs to clear the ship, and he'll want players that he wants to bring in that he likes, same as Brendan. So it's a difficult one for Pochettino.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm sure the wages he's on a weekly basis will ease the pain as he tries to work it out. Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton and Hove Albion 3. Brighton seem to be managing in European football and then going back to domestic football.
Flying, they're doing really well, Brighton.
They're unbelievable.
Success stories, and great result. Nottingham Forest are decent at home.
Yeah,
that's a good result for Brighton.
He was linked with the Real Madrid job the other day there, wasn't he? The Brighton manager.
De Zerbi, yeah.
He
looks as if he knows all about his business anyway, and Brighton just seem to be able to not only unearth great players, but really good managers as well, who fit into their ethos and their structure and the way they want to play and the way they want to develop players. And of course, recruitment as well is king. And some of the players that they brought in, and they've been able to sell some on as well. Caicedo to Chelsea,
100 million,
and it's just outrageous, Is he a £100 million player?
And then they get Billy Gilmore in,
for
a fraction of that.
McAllister,
he's Liverpool.
The Basinya, the boy at Tottenham.
Yeah,
the midfield player at Tottenham.
Basuma, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
incredible.
And Wee Billy's just a star for me. He's brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Let's hope he's absolutely brilliant as we head over to Germany as well. Sheffield United 1, Bournemouth 3. Brentford Arsenal has just kicked off in about the first 10 or 15 minutes of that. It's 0-0 at the moment, but as far as the table is concerned, it's lovely and tight at the top of the English Premier League. Manchester City just leading at the moment with a point over Liverpool, who are a point behind, and then Arsenal also on 28 points, and then Tottenham on 26. And if Tottenham can win their game, they will move to joint top of the table. The goal difference there will be in favour of Manchester City. But right now, as we look at it, Aston Villa still doing well with a really good manager in my eyes, Unai Emery, in 5th position, Villa. That's how it looks at the top of the English Premier League. And as far as fixtures are concerned, not only do we have that game on the way at the moment, it's Tottenham Villa tomorrow at 2 o'clock and Everton Man United at 4:30. And Monday it's Fulham against Wolverhampton Wanderers. There are some games that I always think there's a saturation point where you're just not going to watch them, and Fulham Wolverhampton Wanderers is that point for me.
You're not going to watch it now?
Not a chance in hell would I watch that, by the way. There's more chance of me watching I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, or Something in the Jungle, and I haven't watched them since they ever started. Do you watch those programmes?
Yeah, quite like them.
Yeah. Darren, are you that type of person?
I have. I've not watched this one.
Okay, fantastic. Maybe the wrong two guys that I've been hanging about with for a wee while. Anyway, in the Scottish Premiership, we will hear from some of the managers. Hopefully, we're just about to go off here. We'll hear from maybe one or two other managers. David Martindale has offered us his immediate thoughts on that defeat to St Mirren. Maybe we can sneak in a wee Stephen Robinson, or you never know, we might get a wee Craig Levein to celebrate. And at this moment, we might even hear from Adam Binney on that Hearts win with Stevie Naismith, who will undoubtedly be delighted with it, because Hearts got that goal. At the moment, as far as that game at Tynecastle is concerned, Lawrence Shanklin is being credited with it in some quarters. Liam Boyce clearly would then be given the assist, which would just do your head in, wouldn't it, Tom?
Yeah, and it's all about assists and goals now for strikers, isn't it? It's all that everything counts. At the end of the season, it's goals and assists, goal involvements they call it now, which is mental. So yeah, I think if Shanklin's been given it, I think there'll certainly be something on Monday morning. They'll get the video person out and let's see that goal again to figure out who's got it. But Shanklin's got it at the minute, which is another goal to his tally.
Interestingly enough, quite a few of the members of the media over the last couple of days were invited to speak to Crawford Allen and a number of the VAR people to explain some of the decisions that they believe that they've got wrong, and explain some that we think they've got wrong, but we're actually wrong because this is why they came to that decision. And I think Crawford perfectly right, and I think fair play to him and the SFA on the basis of, okay, there are problems, people who are angry, but here's how it's gone, here's how we made that decision, we know we need to do better, and explain a few things. And I think they're picking out a number of mistakes, and they've spoken to a few, certainly from our camp and lots of other broadcasters as well, to try and be as transparent as they possibly can be, and I think they deserve credit for that.
Yeah, of course, it's a hard job, but I just think some of the decisions, like now, I actually don't know what's the handball and what's not handball. I mean,
that's an easy accusation for everybody to say players don't know the rules, we don't know the rules. Well, to be perfectly honest with you, you're there to officiate. You're a referee, you're an linesman, you're a VAR official. That's your job. You're paid to do the rules. If we could explain them all to us as quickly as possible, we'll know them.
See, if you're going in for a slide tackle, you can't go in for a slide tackle. That's the way you go in for a slide tackle.
Natural position.
Your hands can't be. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I think some of them are incredible that are given.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think transparency, I'd like to see an immediate explanation on the park when they come to a decision on an offside, or indeed a penalty decision, or chalking a goal off for whatever reason. I'd like to see why they've come to that decision, and they can explain it on the microphone to all and sundry.
Yeah, that's what they do in rugby, Peter. They have that time out, and you can hear the conversation between the VAR people and the referee on the pitch. I don't know if that's possible, obviously, with technology in Scottish football and stadiums and that, but I think it would be great for people at the games and on watching TV to find out why they're coming to these decisions. And I think that will come eventually. I don't think it will be in the next couple of years, but it will come eventually, and that would stop a lot of the conspiracy theories of teams getting decisions and different things and managers complaining. If you can hear why the decision's been made, then I think it would be a lot clearer for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Queen and South have knocked Dundee United out 4-3 on penalties. One of your old sides out.
Yeah, that's a bad result. I mean, listen, you want to win everything. You go in for, and the Challenge Cup was a blow for them because they got heavily defeated. But the Scottish Cup, you want to run in the Scottish Cup. I know Tam said earlier, 100%, they need to get promotion. And that's their sole focus. But you want to run in the Scottish Cup. You don't want to be out before Christmas.
That's a poor result.
Go down against a team that's been really struggling. So it's a massive result for Marvin and Queen of the South, but it's a huge blow for Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go, I think we're heading to Tynecastle to hear from Craig Levein and Stephen Naismith on that result today.
Yes, I think we've been given a penalty against us for less. And it's no down to VAR, it's down to the decision making. It's every week, we have a meeting during the week, which was a good meeting, productive. Everybody probably scheduling should help to get everybody at these meetings to make things better, but it's a penalty. It's a penalty all day long. But our referees refereeing the game differently now because they're thinking VAR might step in, but if it doesn't hit the threshold of clear and obvious or whatever it may be, it's no given. It's a penalty. No debate about it.
Okay, there you are. Stephen Naismith, so soon after us all talking about they deserve great credit for getting everybody together. We're not even 48 hours after the meeting and he's slaughtering them.
Yeah, listen, we've not seen the decision, obviously, but if he feels that strongly about it, Peter, then he's probably got a case, and it's the consistency that baffles managers. He's obviously had something similar given against him, and he's thinking, well, why is this not a penalty for us today when it's been given against us? So, no, that's the thing with VAR, and particularly the penalty decisions, whether that be handballs or penalties. it's subjective and it's changing from week to week, and there's no consistency across the board, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't tell you that the Scottish Cup third round has pushed a little bit of a shock there. Queen of the South have knocked Dundee United out in penalties. Broxburn against Bucky Thistle, that's gone to penalties as well. So quite simply, when you analyse it, I think Jim Goodwin will be feeling the wrath of a few United fans from that Scottish Cup third round result. As far as some of the Celtic fans, they'll be giving us their thoughts undoubtedly, not only across all our social media, but Monday we'll be discussing it at great length what's been happening. It's been a real bad day for you, by the way. You're just an infection from day one.
You have not been well this week.
You haven't been well. I didn't believe actually when you said sometimes you are the equivalent of my nephew. If there's a virus going about, he picks it up. It's incredible. Okay, we heard from Stephen Naismith. Let's hear from Craig Levine.
Over the years, I've been in that dugout and then that one, and then in that one, and then that one. So, I mean, I was expecting to get a little bit of stick, but I didn't really. No, it didn't really materialise. I'm a bit disappointed in that. I need to have a word with the Hearts fans about that.
Well, I'll tell you right now, anybody who boos Craig Levine needs to have a long, hard look at themselves at Tynecastle, because I thought he was a wonderful player, and as a manager, he gave us all. It didn't quite work out for him last time around, but nevertheless,
yeah, I think
I wouldn't be giving him stick.
Yeah, the last time around, and I think Craig's admitted that he took too much on.
Yeah,
but as a player, Peter, I was lucky enough to play a couple of times on with Scotland, and I think there is no doubt if Craig hadn't got his injuries, Craig could have gone to the top.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was Liverpool class, wasn't he?
He was an incredible player. Yes, I mean, absolutely lightning quick.
Yeah,
I mean, incredible. But he was a good player. But as I said, the St Johnstone have taken him on. I think they know what you get out of Craig.
Yeah,
and the players will know right away what he expects from them.
I don't see them being relegated. Do you?
The way Livingston are going, no. I'm not so sure if they'll maybe be in the playoffs, because I think there's, obviously we've spoken about 2 or 3 that could be in there, so they could be in there, but they'll definitely, defensively, they'll definitely be better.
Yeah, let's have a quick word with Patrick Mullen. Patrick, what was, you've got to tell us, because we're just at this moment wondering about it. In fact, I better check. I'll come back to Patrick on that. I was going to get his thoughts on the game there, because he's been out and about for us today. We'll come back to Patrick if we can just before we go off air. He does his absolute best to give us his thoughts on St Mirren against Livingston, but we'll come back to him. St Mirren just edged it by a 1-0 over Livingston. We talked about Hearts against St Johnstone, whether St Johnstone can escape. Livingston, we think, are gone unless something dramatic happens with investment and money suddenly becomes awash at the Tony Macaroni Arena. Other than that, I'm looking at it, and I've tipped St Johnstone to go down, but I still, I could sway towards Ross County. But
you just do it every week. You just change it every week.
Honestly, I'm
every week. Somebody wins, they just looking down.
I'm just going to turn. Hey, pot and kettle. By the way, you
have an opinion and stick with it, Peter.
1 week you'd Lee Johnson. 1 week you'd Lee Johnson as Pep Guardiola. The next week he was a dumpling.
Never Lee Johnson as Pep Guardiola.
Let's go.
Lee Johnson had Lee Johnson as Pep Guardiola.
Exactly. Let's quickly go to St Mirren. They got that goal against Livingston. Patrick Mullen's there. Patrick, were they worthy of their win in the end? Just one of those moments where I thought we were going to get Patrick in a very dark.
Full flow as well.
He wasn't great. He was great
Andy's
for him.
One goal today, so he's going to be over the moon. He loves it.
He does actually. Listen, even if it's a 0-0, he's in great form. But couldn't quite hear Patrick there. He did his best to get us on right at the death. In the end, in the Scottish Premiership, I think the main result of the day must surely go to Motherwell. 1-1 at Celtic Park, Darren.
Yeah. As we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, Dundee was the result against St Mirren. That's definitely the result of the day. That there must be Stuart Kettlewell must be over the moon getting a point. Celtic, obviously, it's a massive blow. They're obviously still leading, but it's a huge blow. It's a game you're really expected to win, not just win, but score a few goals.
And just on that point, Darren, do you share my view that there's just something not clicking with Brendan Rodgers second time around?
Well, there's been more games than not that they've not really sparked into life.
Yeah.
There's been a few games where they've been and I wouldn't even take the Aberdeen game, the 6-0 game, because it was 3 goals in the last five minutes. But there's been games when I've watched and I've thought, they look good. But there's been more games that you probably thought they're struggling to break people down. There's no that spark. There's no that spark there. So, it's probably been a struggle in a lot of the games. But you just expected more.
Absolutely. Can we get a wee word with Adam Binney? Stephen Naismith was moaning. What was he moaning about with that penalty decision? And do you agree with him, Adam?
I haven't managed to watch it back. I know that's the one that the managers always come out with. But on first viewing live, I did think that it was a penalty. Looked as though Alan Forrest went down under the challenge of full-back Luke Robinson. Looked like one of those ones you see it quite often where a defender goes to clear it, but a striker nicks in front of the ball, just gets that first touch. And then gets wiped out straight after. So I thought he had a point. Obviously Stephen Naismith has watched it plenty of times back, and he's not going to come into the press room and start ranting and raving like that if he didn't think it was a penalty. So I do believe him, and I do think Hearts should have seen a penalty. It wasn't his only complaint about VAR. Of course, you'll have noticed from my full-time report, I wrongly credited Liam Boyce with the only goal of the game. It actually hit Lauren Shankland on its way in, which kind of made the celebrations a little bit subdued, a little bit muted, and Stephen Naismith was kind of annoyed VAR had prevented his team being able to celebrate the goal properly because Shankland was so worried that perhaps he had impeded the goalkeeper's line of vision, or in fact just be standing in an offside position because the ball had flicked off his calf on the way in. So strange one, because Hearts were good for a lot of that game. They managed to get an important victory, 3 wins on the spin now, but the manager just not happy with VAR.
Yeah, brilliant. Always, as ever, we always get Adam in right at the death there. Although that looked suspiciously, Darren and I were getting emotional because that looked suspiciously like the entry door to Buster Brown's, an old nightclub we used to go to. but sadly, it's closed down. Yes, absolutely. And we wouldn't be allowed in now anyway if it was still open. Great to get Adam in there right at the death. We should have got Patrick. I don't know what was up with the sound, but we always try and get our reporters out at the grounds to give you a little insight into it. Great day for Stuart Kettlewell. A well and hard fought point for them, despite the fact that they really didn't have too much of the possession, but they took their chance when it came. John Obika getting the equaliser after David Turnbull had given Celtic the lead. 2 penalties for Celtic in that game, incidentally. Dundee 1, Hibs 2, Lewis Miller scoring a goal and then sent off, but just enough for Nick Montgomery's side to get the 3 points. Hearts, it's Shanklin who's going to be credited with it. His goal, the only one to give them 3 points, Craig Levine's return as St Johnstone manager. He can take the stick. I think he would have liked a point at least, but he didn't get it. Hearts, Stevie Naismith gets the 3 points. Ross County, Derek Adams will be happy with a 0-0. I wonder what Derek McInnes will be thinking. Again, on the road, they just can't get a win for love nor money. And St Mirren, with an own goal, albeit, still managed a win over luckless Livingston, who are 6 consecutive defeats. The big Scottish Cup news, Dundee United are out. Queen of the South knocked them out in the penalty shootout at the end. Great to have Tam back with us. Hopefully he'll just go straight to bed now, just to make sure that recovery is great for next week. And Darren, as ever, always a joy to see him back with us here on a Saturday, looking at the Premiership and beyond. From everyone here, join us on Monday. Tam will be with us along with Neil Lennon and Alan Ruff, and we'll be looking over the weekend Scottish Premiership. Just quickly, Aberdeen Rangers, who wins?
2 each.
The Rangers.
I'm going to go Rangers to win 2-1. You can give us your opinion as well across all our social media, where you'll hear from the managers and players tonight. Thanks for watching and listening.